Okay. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV, the cross ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Gang, we've got a show for you tonight, okay? I know Soypill's busy talking to his audience, but he'll be with us in a minute, okay? Prime, the best boy, is here, ready to go. What we're going to be talking about tonight is a recent schism within the Democratic Party for the main Democratic Senate primary. A gentleman by the name of Graham Platner recently came under fire for accusations of having a Nazi tattoo and some of the statements he's made in the past in various areas. The question tonight before us is, does the fact that Graham Platner had what resembles to be a Nazi tattoo that he claims he got when he was drunk disqualify him for running for the Democratic Party as representative, as the contender for Senate in Maine? Should that be something that we care about? Or is this just an example of cancel culture where we're canceling people for their past opinions that they've already recanted and already said that doesn't represent them anymore? We have some lovely individuals to talk this out. Friend of the show, Primecayes, and friend of the show, Soypill, are both here. I'm going to give them a little more leeway than I normally do because there's just the two of them, and give them opening statements where they can introduce themselves, talk about their stance on the matter, and then we'll get into it. I'll have questions for both of these individuals, and if you, dear viewer, have questions, super chat them and I'll read them, and we'll see if we can get them to answer, okay? With that said, I'm going to give the mic first to Mr. Primecayes. Primecayes, give us your thoughts, tell people who you are, and what you think. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, Wick. Nice. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you to Soypill for being here as well. I hope to have a great conversation. Name is Prime Kai, Primecayes. Find me on Twitch and YouTube, um, and Twitter supposedly. But yeah. So Graham Plattner seems to be an individual with a lot of potential. This is coming from a leftist, right? I look at his platform and I like it. Um, I look at his uh, biography, except for the one thing, and I like it. Um, yeah, and I think that while this situation with the tattoo is very unfortunate, it doesn't seem to be disqualifying. Now, I'll say that while caveating that, that's before anything else might show up, right? Assuming this is the worst of what is available from his past. And, the other side, being, the other Democrat, is going to keep digging to find out that there is something worse. It'll come out. We can be sure of that. Um, but assuming that's all there is, I think it um, this is an easy thing to move past, assuming his story is more or less correct on this. But I'll have more to say later on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. And again, reminder, I have links to all these individuals' channels in my YouTube description, and you should, at some point, give them a follow for being on here. Next up, we have Soypill. Go ahead.
Yep. Hi, I'm the Soypill. I make YouTube video essays and I stream sometimes. Yep. Thank you, Wick, for having me, and thanks to Prime. This is, I'm sure, going to be 100% more cordial than 90% of my debates, and I'm looking forward to that relief, especially considering what I'm doing tonight. So, yeah, I think that Platner, I agree, I like his platform a lot. The problem I have with him is that what he has done with this tattoo stuff, with his leaks, with any other research that's going to come out, because we're only 8 months ahead of the primary, and I guarantee you this is probably not the worst stuff. It just shows an incredibly poor judgment on his part. He joined Blackwater 11 years after the Blackwater scandal without any, second thoughts until he was already in it. He like the stuff he said on Reddit is, forgivable in my opinion. Like, he said some things that are good, some things that are bad. He's very lefty, things that I might consider based, and also some things that were like a little like rape apologia. But it's one of those like, okay, if this isn't your past and this isn't indicative of who you are today, then we can move on from that. The problem is that it seems to demonstrate a lack of judgment that is carried on until very much now, the present, where he didn't get this tattoo covered up. I actually believe his narrative. I truly believe he's just a military meathead that got a random tattoo in the Croatia. I don't think he's a secret Nazi. I think his Reddit leaks are indicative that he's not a secret Nazi. If anything, he's the complete opposite. Maybe he's even more left-wing that he lets on, but that doesn't matter, because what it indicates to me is this man has incredibly poor judgment. And this is reflective of people in his campaign are now jumping ship. Twice now, I think his campaign managers have jumped ship. One of them because of the tattoo. The other one says it's because he's going to have a kid, but that's not why. And so it's 8 months before the primary. This is not the general election. If this was him against Susan Collins, I would 100% say, look, let's forgive this. And it doesn't matter. I want him in office. But that's not the case. We still have Janet Mills as an option, who's not as good as him, but is pretty damn good. She's too old, but she's got really good policies on healthcare. She had a good run as governor, and she's going to do basically diet Graham Platner policies. And I'm okay with that if it means that someone with a proven track record and years in office who is going to make life better for people in Maine is going to replace Susan Collins. She's polling better than him now, at least according to one of the polls that I've read. And I just think that he's a liability and should not be where he is. If anything, he needs to step down, because we need another progressive to take this 8 months and replace him, because that's the only way we're going to get someone better than Mills. But that's my take on it.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to open up the floor. If either of you feel like you're getting talked over by the other, just raise your hand or get my attention. I'll make sure they give you the space you need. But other than that, the floor is open. Go ahead.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, I just ask the simple question, because I just didn't know where you were going with this. Why do you think the second campaign manager left?
So he says it's because he's going to have a kid in the future. And I think that's a valid reason in certain cases. But if you look at like historically, like any campaign that is taking off and people are excited about, if someone was going to have a kid, and I'm pretty sure he said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's going to have a kid months from now, not next week, not 3 months from now, but like I think it was 8 months. Like, he just found out his wife was pregnant recently. He would not be stepping down from this campaign. There's not enough work that you need to do to prepare for a baby 8 months ahead for you to leave. I think he's leaving right away because of the same reason the other person's leaving, which is this man is kind of a liability, and I don't want to be attached to the optics here. Now, again, that's speculation on my part. That is not the crux of what my argument is based on, but I do think that the rats are jumping ship because this guy's not got the best judgment, and it's coming off very poorly in the media.
So, people leaving your campaign, especially, and I understand that the second campaign manager left like very quickly. Like, it wasn't there long at all. That's never a positive sign, right? Just in general. Oh, actually, I don't know. It's rarely a positive sign. I'll put it that way. I'll hedge my bets there. But I think reading into it, at this point, right, without further information, I don't think that should be enough to sway a person's vote. Oh, okay.
I agree. That should not be the limiting factor at all. But I will ask you this. Do you think that if this exact same timeline existed, someone brought this up to me on Monday, existed for Obama's campaign in 2008, do you think the Obama campaign manager would have stepped down when he would have a baby in eight months, or would he been like, holy shit, I want to be attached to this? I don't think so. And that's just, again, speculation, but it's not the main argument.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't necessarily compare the Platner campaign to the Obama campaign. I don't know if they're going to get the same level of recognition, like purely from like a pragmatic, like career wise move. I don't know to get the same recognition.
Sure. Well, maybe then compare it to the Mamdani campaign. Say this happened with Mamdani's, and this is November, so let's say it happened in, I don't know, February. There was some, no scandal at all with Mamdani, and then Mamdani's campaign manager was like, "Oh, I'm having a kid," despite this being like one of the nationwide talks of one of the most interesting and momentous elections, despite being only for a city. I think that wouldn't happen with Mamdani.
I think. Well, hold on. I think it's suspicious, right? Like you know, sight unseen. I haven't met this individual. I haven't, interacted with them, the second campaign manager. But like, I think that it's perfectly reasonable to say that, like, oh, you're leaving for other reasons, right? Like, generally, when politicians are stepping down, or people part of administration are stepping down, they give us bullshit reasons for their resignation. Oh, I'm going to spend more time with my family. I think Rex Tillerson said the same fucking thing. Like, come on, I'm back in the first Trump administration. It's like, no, I mean, you're leaving because Trump is a fucking nightmare. He's an actual goddamn nightmare. So I don't trust generally people's statements.
Sure.
I'm just examining whether we should like how far we should be reading into it, right? Like, could there be a chaotic campaign? I think absolutely. I think there's a person who, to his own. Like according to his own biography, he's never been in politics before. Would I expect this individual to run like a clean like campaign machine? No,
Yeah.
not at
Yeah,
all.
and to be
Right?
fair, I'll grant you this. This could totally be because this person got on in the middle after this first person quit, and it's completely chaotic for them, and they're just like, "This is too much. I have a kid on the way. I don't have the mental space for this right now." Right? Like that's possible. I understand that. So that's why let's try to focus on the things that I think are, I guess disqualifying is the right word, but more of just like I don't want to be with this like campaign. I don't want to support this. Again, and I want to clarify, when I have the choice between him and another good but less good candidate, right? Because if this was the general, I am a vote blue no matter who person. But because we're so early in the campaign, I think this is the perfect time for this person to step down. So what are your thoughts on whether or not he has displayed what I would consider judgment that will hurt him in office, not just potentially his electoral success, but if this person displays the same amount of judgment when he has the power as a senator, I think that could even hurt what I would want in the progressive movement because he wouldn't be able to get things done.
I don't know if this is an accurate of being the tattoo is an accurate display of his current judgment.
Can I
Like
just
like
ask?
you said, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Just can I just ask real quick? Do both of you believe that it was like a Nazi tattoo, right? That this tattoo, the skull and the crossbones, the way it was presented, that like whether he knew it was a Nazi tattoo or not, I'm just trying to find out if there's any like disagreement that yeah, this is a Nazi tattoo.
I think it like unequivocally is probably a Totenkopf. And I say this also is like if you go to Europe, especially Eastern Europe, like there's this weird culture around the Nazis. It's not like they like the Nazis. Obviously, a lot of them were persecuted by them, but there's like a almost like a Wehraboo like interest in like former World War II Germany. And like when I was in Kosovo, there was bookshelves full of Mein Kampf, not because they all love Hitler, but because it was like, hey, this is it's a best-selling book here because we're just so interested how this relates to the Serbian genocide and how these things sort of come about. And so in Croatia, them saying like, here's a freaking cool looking tattoo. Maybe it's the Nazis, whatever. They had drip, I don't know why they would throw it. I don't think he got it because he's like, oh, good. I can't wait to signal to my
Yeah, but I
secret
just want to
Nazi
make
family or whatever.
I just want to make sure you both are on the same page here. I'm not sure whether Prime is or not.
Yeah, my stance is more or less similar. I also think the Nazis were very well dressed. Got to give that to them, nothing else.
Gotta
But
hand it to
yeah,
Hitler.
you gotta hand something to Hitler. It would be unfair not to. But yeah, so I think that the tattoo, as far as I can tell, that is exactly what they said it was. But I do believe his story that as an individual, just like, hey, like, what's a cool design, right? You got them all listed there. That yeah, he didn't know. I didn't know. I think most people didn't actually know. I think some people are pretending to know afterwards. I'm not putting this on Soypill. But like I think some people after the fact are pretending to know because it works for their political goals to say, well, of course you should have known. Like obviously not. No. However, um, I am more skeptical of the claim that he's only like recently finding out. I feel like he understood what it was previously. Um, and I think that this is a very valid red flag, right? So, giving ground to my opponent here that, yeah, like you should examine this, right? And if it's if the bridge you don't want to cross, being a main voter, then fair, right? I'm not going to argue with you on that, nor will I defend like the use of Nazi symbols. Not going to happen, right? Um, Instead, though, where I think we can have some interesting conversation is looking at this as a test case for the Democratic Party, right? For like the candidates that it will be presented with from here on forward, right? Platner is squarely a millennial, right? Which means he grew up with the internet. And people who grow up with the internet will not have clean records, right? There will be a ton. Oh, so much dirt, so much dirt. Right? Not for me. If I ever ran for office, that'd be great. There's nothing to look for, so don't bother. But yeah, but like for most individuals, it's gonna be pretty bad unless you grew up in a rural area and you only use your internet like through your satellite connection to check your emails. Anyone other than that is going to have some shit. Um, and it's not as if previous candidates didn't also have these things. It's just that we couldn't find them as readily, right? They didn't have a culture growing up of just like putting out like your innermost thoughts and feelings, right? Now, I really am not one of these people, right? Like, I'm not a Twitter person. I think a lot of people watching here are Twitter people. I know, I know my friend Wick is a Twitter person, right? And if you look through like his timeline, I'm sure you're gonna find something that you find objectionable.
Hold on. What you'll never find is me having a
It's
Nazi
Nazi
tattoo.
symbolism.
You won't
Yes,
find
of
that.
course. I'm not putting that on my friend Wick.
Okay, you're not gonna find a
Wick
Nazi.
does get shirtless on stream, and I have yet to see any
There
Nazi
you go.
tattoos.
True.
But just the point is that like we've put our thoughts and emotions out there, and again, stepping away from the Nazi thing just for a moment, but we'll get back to it, right? Stepping away from that, we'll get back to the Nazi
Other than
thing.
the Nazis, you got to hand it to
Other
them.
than the Nazis, right? Like I think it's something that we're seeing, we're running into, and we saw this with I'm blanking on his name right now. I'm sure one of you can remind me of the director who he's now running DC DC Studios. They used to be a part of Marvel, but he got thrown
James
out of
Gunn.
Marvel. James Gunn, thank you. Yeah, for James Gunn. James Gunn got into trouble because of like past tweets, right? And those tweets aren't great. aren't good,
Yeah,
tweets, right?
well, this
But
is again.
hold on,
Do you mind if I
hold
interrupt?
on.
Because I want to say what the tweet
No.
was of James Gunn, right? Like it was.
Okay,
He
all right.
said he made like a joke about being a pedophile, right? Like he wasn't saying I like little boys, but he was like, haha, isn't it so shocking and disgusting that I'm making a joke about sleeping with boys or being attracted to boys or something, which is I would say akin to like kind of what Reddit leaks were for Grant Platner, which is all right, maybe he's being a little exaggeratory here by saying, all cops are bastards, or sexual assault victims, should look out for themselves. It's their fault, or something like that. Like these are things where if you were to cancel him for these statements, this is kind of like, all right, you've dug up 12-year-old comments and said this is why he's disqualified. And I don't agree with that. Just to be clear, like I do think that's like the cancel culture bullshit that it shouldn't happen to Platner.
One, I think the thing with Gunn actually was more than that. Gunn was a regular shit poster, right? And so there was a lot to work with there. Now I think I don't remember quite, but I believe if it was a pedophile tweet that put him over the edge, right, was the thing they focused on. Sure, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. But still, I know there was a lot more there. Um, and the point is that, okay, as a society, what are we going to do? Because societal mores change, right? Like, so between when he said that, right, and then when it was found, like, we had the Me Too movement, right? Like that was a big cultural event, right? And
Mhm.
before, when he said there was no big pushback. Even he was a prominent individual, right? Less so prominent. He wasn't like running Marvel or like big in Marvel at that point. I don't think. But still, like he was, he was a director. He was an up and coming director. He was known, right? It's not like he was a nobody like me, like just putting something up there, right? But put him push back because culture is different, right? And so the culture is going to keep changing, but your tweets are going to stay the same, right? Once
Mhm.
you put it out there, is that right? Or your Reddit posts or whatever, right? Your emails, those things are going to stay the same. And I'm not going to say that nothing is disqualifying and there should be no repercussions, right? I think everyone should, have to face some sort of level of accountability, but we need to recognize that in this like shifting, and I think very rapidly shifting moral landscape, and for the good, and mostly for the good, right? In this rapidly shifting moral landscape, people and their past selves are going to be left behind. And as especially as a Democratic Party, what do we want to do? Do we want to be able to give people a second chance? Do you want to give them a chance to own up to their mistakes? Put it in front of them, say, "What do you think about this now? Is this your current thoughts?" If it's not, right, and they show evidence of that, right, well then we can move
Well,
past it.
so I agree with that statement in principle, guys. I don't like purity testing. I don't like kicking people out for like, oh, look at what you tweeted in 2007 or whatever. The issue here is I saw the Reddit leaks and I said, you know what, this isn't good. I'm sure you all you were a direct subject of some of those things, right? He said like, oh, black people don't tip, and it was like, oh, that's awful, right? And like you were able to see that and say, I still think this guy's policies are good. In the same way that like if he had a Nazi tattoo in 2007 as a Jewish person and they covered that up in 2008 or someone pointed out to him, I'd be like, all right, whatever. Like, I forgive this. The problem is that after the Reddit thing, I was like, that's still fine. We can recover from this. I agree. But after the Nazi tattoo thing, it's like, okay, this isn't, well, the culture was different back then. This is, okay, sure, maybe this was dipshit meathead military culture back in 2007, but you even conceded that maybe his like story is falling apart here. And this is like, I'm going to go down a logic tree here, and you tell me if this is creating like some sort of false dichotomy. Either he knew it was a Nazi tattoo, and he didn't give a shit. And he like the whole thing where he said, "Oh, it's my Totenkopf," like that was real. I don't know if that's true. If he did know and you knew he was running for Senate, it just shows poor judgment of, hey, why the fuck didn't you get this covered up earlier? If you know you're going to run for Senate, you're literally on video, shirtless, throwing this around. This shows incredibly poor judgment. Or he didn't know, which is his story, which is also plausible. And if he doesn't know, then he has this for 17 years. Why? Why, as soon as someone points it out to you, is your immediate thought like, oh, well, this was in the past, it's not a big deal, and not, hey, this is bad, and I apologize for this. I feel disgusted for this. But also, like, I don't know. To me, it shows that, like, if he truly didn't know for 17 years and he just recently got it covered up, but then all of this kind of like contradictory stuff is coming up, it doesn't indicate to me that this person who is shirtless dancing around never got told once, hey, are you sure about that, buddy? Does that not show at least a little poor judgment to you in either of those scenarios? Obviously much worse if he's lying about it, but just in the more recent thing, it's like, okay, well, if you're not lying about it, then come on, man, like what was going on?
I think it absolutely shows poor judgment. But again, to my larger point, is that a lot of people have shown poor judgment with their online behavior. Now, this is like a physical manifestation of it, right? Like
Right.
it's
This
just
is
like
because,
shown with
like,
body,
yeah,
right?
that's the
But
distinguishing thing. Let's leave the Reddit comments aside, right? Because those are me expressing my opinions as an individual. That happens all the time.
yeah,
Permanently etching something onto your body is a huge step.
no, hold on. The reason why I'm relating it to that is that will be the most likely thing to come up, right? Most like when we go through these scandals again in the future, and we absolutely will with
Because
future
he's not stepping
candidates.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not
Oh, with other
Platner,
people.
right?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, with other people. Yeah. When we go through these scandals again in the future, like it's probably not going to be a tattoo, right? Like this just happens to be, like I'm saying, a physical representation. But like it's the point. Like it was a poor decision at the time, right? Not understanding what a symbol was, right? And then not covering up immediately. But like that represents like um a like a history, right? A personal history. And with our current society, right? Your online history is your personal history. And there's a lot of poor judgments. This is why I'm just relating the two. So I get you don't feel like the Reddit comments are disqualifying. Great. So we're on the same page there. But like that's the big comparison. And so
Well, can
what
I
do we do?
clarify? I want to clarify before you address this because I guess I didn't say this, and this is important. I think his response to it, yes, he kind of apologized and tried to explain it away, but his willingness and his readiness to say, "This is the Democratic Party trying to ruin my life." Like, if this happened to me, let's say I did a dumb meathead thing, I had a Nazi tattoo. Like, I'm Jewish, everyone would know I'm not a secret Nazi, obviously, but they'd be like, "What the fuck were you doing for 17 years or whatever?" I'd say, "Look, I'm an idiot. I apologize. I did not mean to hurt anyone. I'm getting it covered up immediately or removed immediately." And that's kind of what he did. But now he's also going on this thing of like, well, this is just the Oppo research against me. This is like the Chuck Schumer wants to get me out. And that's true. Chuck Schumer wants to get him out. He doesn't want him to win. There is Oppo research. This didn't come out of nowhere. But the idea to kind of deflect this as, well, they're attacking me and not take the responsibility of, I'm an idiot who got a Nazi tattoo. I think that shows like ultimately the poor judgment of even if he's telling the truth.
No, I mean, like he's already taken the responsibility. Like I feel like you just kind of had it both ways. One, you acknowledge that he did apologize, right? He did talk about like he made a mistake and it doesn't represent himself as well, right? And then you said yes, it is Opera research, but then you kind of put it together and saying, well, both of these things together doesn't seem right, right? Like
I think they're a little incongruent because to say like to blame it as the Democratic Party trying to ruin my life, it's like, well, no, you need to take the responsibility, which you did, but then maintain that as you fucked up. Like, it's not their fault that you got a Nazi tattoo. They just took a photo of it and reported on it.
Two things can be true, right? Yes, he fucked up, right? Acknowledged. No one here disagrees. But also, the Democratic Party has a history of trying to destroy progressives, right?
Sure.
They're the
Yeah.
big enemy for the Democratic Party. It's not the Republicans. Republicans they can deal with. In fact, they'll find areas of agreement with them all the goddamn time.
Well, yeah,
But when it comes
Republicans wouldn't release this because it would make them more popular with Republicans, right? So
fair enough, exactly, right? Yeah. So glad we're on the same page here. But yes, when it comes to how the Democratic Party responds to leftists and progressives, yeah, they actually are. Yeah, they're trying to destroy your life. They're trying to bury you. They're trying to end like the leftist shift they see within the larger, Democratic base, right?
yeah,
They're
no, I
trying to
agree.
kill that as fast as possible. So when he says that on stage, yeah, that's an accurate description of what's happening.
Should
I don't
It's
know.
accurate to say
You
that the
guys are like
Democratic Party wants to not have these progressives succeed because they're not in line with their current platform. I agree with that. But then to say, almost to abdicate a chunk of the responsibility to this is because of Chuck Schumer and the Democratic machine, when it's like, yeah, but you got to understand is this is going to come out. This is what politics is. Bernie Sanders has similar platforms. That's why he's endorsed and stuck by him. This is one of the things I disagree with Bernie Sanders on, among his weird border comments recently. But otherwise, huge Bernie stan. And it's interesting that, Bernie Sanders, as much as you can smear him, you never were able to smear him like this. Like Elizabeth Warren tried, of all people, to be like, oh, he's sexist and said like a woman couldn't be president. When what he probably said was like, American people won't vote for a woman, which we saw was true twice,
internet
right?
was not
So
around when Bernie Sanders was a young, dumb 20-year-old, right?
Do
Now,
you
he's
think
probably
he had
better
a
than most
Nazi
20-year-olds,
tattoo?
even then, because he was like marching along with the civil rights,
right. He has like
movement.
a proven
So,
track record of good
but
judgment, is what I'm saying.
even, but no, but how many people? This is the heart of it. How many people are going to have those clean records and proven track records of good judgment, right? Good
More
judgment. All that
well, here,
means.
let's take a more one-to-one comparison. AOC, right? She's millennial, she's a progressive. She has done perfectly. They tried to smear her. Oh, she's a bartender. Oh, she lied about where she grew up. None of this stuff stuck because she does have good judgment. She's really politically savvy. She's managed to maintain progressive policies, but also integrate and work with the Democratic Party, which people shit on her for. I think she's doing great. I still love her. So it's like, okay, if she can do that, if we can have progressives like that Bernie endorsed, that Elizabeth Warren endorsed, what is wrong with saying
Do we
Graham
have a lot?
Platner is not that good at the judgment?
Do we
His
have a
policies,
lot of? Do we have a lot of progressives that can do it? Like, hold on, let's take me for example. Just like myself. Right now, you won't find any Nazi shit in my past. I can
Take your
assure
shirt off
you,
right
right?
now. Let's find out.
Don't worry, I'll send you my nudes later, Wick. So yeah, you're not gonna find any Nazi shit in my past. But like, and someone else made this point. I think it was maybe on TYT or something. I know I may be the majority part, but the point is that like, as a person who's done a lot of freaking talking online, right? there's going to be things there that aren't going to be palatable to a general audience, right? And then someone else, right, in 2028 when I'm running, right, can reasonably say, well, Prime, I mean, like he said this and this and this way back when. Does that really show good judgment? Is that something I would really want to? They would make the exact same argument. How many people are out there, right? Like, yes, AOC, sure. But how many people are out there who weren't thinking about running, right, from like the day they were born, right?
Yeah,
Didn't have
they're
their
not these
eyes on
groomed
power.
candidates that are like perfect, squeaky clean. I understand that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Who lived a life, who were going to present themselves to a general audience, and not have things that like, well, they either deeply regret or maybe not so much regret, but still will not play well with a general audience. Like that's
Well,
just
here,
I
let me ask you this.
just
I
before
need to jump in because I agree with the sentiment
after you
again.
jump
but
in, I
think
got
the
super
problem
chats
is
to read, but go ahead.
right, but we need to draw a line somewhere. And obviously, this is over my line. It's not over yours. But I guess my question for you is, let's say that he had gotten this Nazi tattoo like last year, or let's say these Reddit comments were like 3 months ago. Would you consider that too soon? Because yes, all these things that he did were in the past, but his reactions to them and the way that he has done them are in the current, in the present, right? So joining Blackwater is in and of itself not disqualifying forever, right? In fact, he quotes this as what radicalized him. But joining Blackwater after being in the military, after knowing that there's a Blackwater scandal in 2007 is like, okay, so you were pretty stupid back then for not looking this up. But now you're, in the current present, you're like, well, I wasn't that dumb for doing that. And, oh, I just got the Nazi tattoo covered up. And it's like, oh, those Reddit comments aren't really reflective of me now. That's now, right? So what would he have to do for you to be like, this is too far? Like, what is the line for you?
I'll wait for
And
Wade
how
to,
recent would have had to be, right? Like, because
Okay.
look, I'll say this, right? Because I think the recency thing is important. I think we are going to see in the next 10 years progressive candidates who fell down the alt-right pipeline, like former groypers, like neo-Nazis who were like, this disgusted me, something radicalized me. And there's leftist commentators now that are like that. And yes, you can have some mistrust for those people. And you can say, okay, what led you to that? Like, did you use the logic to get out? Or are you just going with the flow? But I believe in redemption. I don't believe Graham Platner is irredeemable. My issue is, how soon does that have to happen where you're like, oh shit, this is bad?
Okay. I'll let you think about the answer. Let's read a few super chats. Cameraman 502 for $5 says, the guy obsessed with APAC has an SS tattoo? Go figure. And go figure the left will defend electing the ink to leadership because he says things like they like. Thank you for $5. $5 from Gelatinous Rube to say, I would get a Totenkopf tattoo, but only if the skull had a Down syndrome shape to it. Full Shane Gillis expression, maybe some bushy eyebrows. Well, thank you for the $5. And then $5 more from Testicle Johnson to say, good point. All my favorite progressives have Nazi tattoos. Thank you for the $5. And if you want your comments or questions read on stream, continue to give me money and I'll continue to read them out. But that's all we got for now. So, yeah. Do you have an answer for us, Prime? What's the line?
So, if sorry, we'll take one at a time. If he had gotten the tattoo last year, and the fact pattern was the same that like, hey, I didn't know. Well, then why would that affect any? Like, what difference does it make if it was like if it happened, like in a more recent past, right? Like again, if he
Because it
didn't know, if
shows
he
poor
did
judgment
know,
more
different.
recently, is what I'm saying. Like, let's say you didn't know, right? Let's say a story's true, right? It's like, okay, you were dumb enough to get this back in 2007. I agree, this is like dumb military meathead culture. But if you did it like 3 months ago, and there are better, and I guess I do want to return to this at some point, if there are better options, because you said like, how many progressives do we have that can do this? Graham Platner is working because he does have the right messaging, but he also has like the gruff, like, oh, look at me, he's got a good voice, he's charismatic. There are still progressives that can do that. I know there's someone in Maine that could do what he is doing. I'm sure there's someone in his circle that could do what he's doing. The problem is he's not going to step down. He's not going to make the room for that second progressive. And I think that's on him to say, hey, I have too much baggage. My electoral chances aren't as good. But if he's doing this stuff recently, like this is hypothetical, right? If he had these comments like last week, it's the same with like these young Republicans leaking where it's like, okay, maybe you're not a secret Nazi if this was 10 years ago. and this was on like Reddit or 4chan or some crap, but this is now. And I think that would be even worse. It would show more recent poor judgment. Like, why does that not matter to you?
Okay, hold on. So let me finish answering. So once again, Nazi tattoo last year, right? Assuming he gets it, and assuming he doesn't know. If he does know, that's a different thing. But if he doesn't know, right? Like the poor judgment here is just that like you didn't have like a thorough understanding of a symbol that looks pretty rad, you know? Like I don't know. That doesn't tell me anything else. I think there are a lot. I see a lot of tattoos. I've seen a lot of tattoos, and I think. All right, I don't want to lose people here. Okay, right. I, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible to all you tattoo lovers. I think a bit more thought should go into that, just like in general, just like a blanket statement. Okay, I'll leave it there. Leave it there. Right. Some of them are great. Some of them are fantastic. And like I'm even jealous of them. But I think for the most part, a little more thought would be a good idea. So like that's as much as I would condemn him, assuming he didn't know, right? However, like when we're talking about the Reddit comments, okay, so like I think that's actually
That's worse because it's like,
right,
yeah, okay,
because I don't think that gives him enough time to have actually grown out of it, right? I can believe that you grew out of things that you like said like 12 years ago, right? Like I certainly my positions have changed over that amount of time, and so I say that for him. But in 3 months, like or 4 months, whatever, like have you shifted? No, that would seem completely different. So like it changes. Like there's plenty of context as long as we're keeping track of context here. We're adding that into our calculations here. And I think the thing that we should be adding into one again, like his previous comments, as you stated during your opening statement, like they seem to be saying that he's anti-Nazi. Okay, all right.
sure, yeah.
That he's anti-fascist. He called himself a communist. Right. He said all these things that lead you to believe that there's an incongruity with the Totenkopf tattoo.
Right.
Right.
Again, I will never try to say that he's a secret Nazi. That's pretty obviously not true based on the evidence.
But then once we understand that, now we're distilling it to just a mistake of like picking
Yeah.
the wrong design,
Well,
right? And
I'm going to
then
press you on this harder then. What mistakes would you say would disqualify someone? Because it's not a Nazi tattoo a year ago or 14 years ago for this guy, or
Reddit
however long,
comments
18
3 months
years.
ago.
So Reddit comment. So if he was as left wing as he was in the Reddit comments recently, that would be disqualifying for you. Because if anything, some of
Oh,
those things I was like, oh, cool. Like he's got some pretty interesting
I
opinions.
mean,
Some of them are bad, some of them are good. But like I don't
sorry,
even know if that would bother me.
sorry. What I mean when I say that is that if there is a bad Reddit comment, right? That like I don't think he could have grown out of them in that distance, right? I wasn't like pointing to any particular Reddit comment. I was looking at it in a more vague stance.
Okay, so like if you said something
So
like racist or sexist like 6 months ago, you're saying.
yeah. Then I'm like, I have no reason to believe that you've grown past this. Like that seems like a cop out. Or like I don't know. Like maybe actions that a candidate might have done, right? Like not just like talk, because a lot of people talk a big game in on the internet. But like if he had done something, let's just say
Like yeah, like a
racist.
murder or like a rape or something like that. Like
Yeah, like a sexual assault. That's something to consider. But even then, okay, oh, this would be more
no,
controversial,
I
right?
agree with you on this point, by the way. If he was like a former felon from 15 years ago, and it's like, hey, he reformed, he got out of jail, he's had a clean track record for 10 years, I don't think that's disqualifying necessarily. In
Hold
fact, if
on.
anything, it shows immense growth.
Hold on.
What Wick is going to disagree? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do disagree. I think that there's some things that, because we're not just talking about like a normal member of the party, right? Someone who votes. We're talking about a representative of who we are as a party. I do think we have to have certain standards, and that includes if you do certain things, you don't get to be a representative of the party. There are other people who can champion the cause far better than someone who's had a Nazi tattoo or
Sure.
who killed someone like 15 years ago,
so Wick,
right?
and that's
I mean,
kind
It
of my
should just be disqualifying across the board.
Wait a minute. He's
and
in. Hold on. First of all, hold on, before you do that, hold on. He was in the military, right? And I don't know his service record. Someone else maybe may have more information on this. But like, what if he killed someone within the service?
Okay,
well, that's different. That's like
we're not talking
no,
about
no,
murder. We're talking about killing.
To be
it's
fair,
not a murder.
oh wait, I did forget about this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he not a guard at Abu Ghraib, like after the Abu Ghraib incident?
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either.
Wick, you want to fact
But, like,
check this while we're talking? But like, I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, again, you ignored
like
the
it was his
Blackwater
job.
atrocity, joined Blackwater. Well, yeah, it's his job, but it's like, look, you're not going to raise a stink or talk about the fact that you're like sitting in the place where one of the worst war crimes, like most famous worst war crimes existed, like, and then you joined Blackwater after. It's like the problem I have.
Fact check on that.
This is
Just fact check on that. He did say he served as a Marine on guard duty at Abu Ghraib, however the fuck you say it, in 2005. Anyway.
Yeah. So so he was literally not. So this wasn't even part of his mercenary work. This was him as a member of the military, and that was the military facility. And then they put him on guard duty.
And that
right?
didn't the Abu Ghraib didn't radicalize it. He didn't say, "Wow, they're committing horrible war crimes against people," and like I'm participating in some way, and I don't want to be a part of this. And then after that, he joined the war crime mercenary group. It's like, look, I understand this is in his past, but to Wick's point of like, look, Wick and I obviously disagree. I think someone who murdered someone like 40 years ago and is like a reformed felon, I think if they run and they have good policy and they have a clean track record of 40 years or whatever, sure, fuck it. Like, I don't think that should disqualify them completely. Although, if there's a better option, and there is right now, which I think is Janet Mills. Like, I guess this is my question for you. What about Janet Mills shows bad judgment other than running as an incredibly octogenarian old person?
More questions, because I've like you keep interrupting me, so I can't like.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For this. So Blackwater, no, I don't think that's disqualifying. Now I hate Blackwater. Fuck Blackwater, right? They keep rebranding themselves to try to get away from their past war crimes, right? Not a fan of Blackwater. Not a fan of these mercenary outfits in general. Like fucking Triple Canopy or all the rest, right? Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that. But from a perspective of a soldier, right? From a perspective of a service member who left the military and may not have been immediately employable, and like looking at their options available, like would it make sense for them to join Blackwater? Yeah, actually, especially if you aren't heavily politicized at that point, right? Like now, it would be tough for me to do it.
It's hard for them to get jobs, yeah.
But I would say, yeah. It would be tough for me to do something like that because I know too much. I know a lot, right? And so like it'd be hard for me to look myself in the mirror if I joined Blackwater after just leaving the military with the amount of knowledge that I have now, right? But for him, right, and from what we understand of his past, no, actually, that it kind of doesn't make sense, right? But even then, let's say he did have like a full understanding of the implications of it, right? Yeah, people eat. People got to eat, right? Like, and it's unfortunate. And so
there's so many vets that don't join Blackwater.
Yeah,
it's kind of my point.
Wick,
Wick, did you join Blackwater?
I did not join Blackwater.
But hold on. Okay. How many people are still working for Google? How many people are still working for Microsoft? Right? How many people are still working for Amazon? And those companies.
Wait, sorry, I do have to interrupt just because your sound cuts out, and this is a Discord thing. I'm sorry. Can you say it one more time? What's wrong with Google?
Okay, sure. I was saying, I would just repeat quickly. How many people are working for Google, Microsoft, or Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. And those companies have and are assisting, right, providing services for the genocide happening in Gaza. Right,
Here's
like
they have. Though. I work in software. I know a lot of Google software engineers, and you got to understand is Google is so widespread. It would be kind of like criticizing like Comcast, not for their shitty policies, but like because they provide internet to everyone. They both provide it to like people in ISIS and also people in California who are just regular citizens.
No. They didn't have a contract. No, Comcast doesn't have a contract with ISIS, right? Google, Microsoft, Amazon have contracts with Israel, and specifically, like I believe it's Microsoft specifically has a contract for to assist with AI tools to do the killing, to do the actual killing.
That's a better argument for when it's like, here's a tool to mark targets in Israel. I think that's like Boeing, providing the bombs versus like Google or like AWS as like a storage thing that the IDF uses.
Aren't we
But if you're
working
specifically
for
talking about
Google
Well,
right
actually, no,
now
that's
on YouTube?
still the squad. No, that's still a problem, right? No, why are you working with the idea of the occupying force? Because hopefully we all understand here. Oh, Wick doesn't understand this, I know, but history began before October 7th, right? The occupation, the theft of land, right? It was very well known before then. Like the BDS movement happened before
No,
October
sure.
7th.
Wait, but guys,
So,
let me clarify something because, like, again, what AWS is not like, all right, Google guy, like, here's Netanyahu and head of Google meet in a room and
well,
they're like,
Amazon.
let's
AWS.
shake hands, like, let's fucking get those motherfuckers. That is very different. Of like, look, here's a service that they provide as a cloud service to everyone, and I don't think it would behoove any company to like boycott, divest in the same way when they're that ubiquitous. Versus
Yeah.
what you did talk about, which I do agree
Oh,
with, which is here's a fucking tool to like mark and paint targets of like civilians and like try to distinguish, but this is like a weapon that they're providing. I do think that's different, and that is something that they meet directly with and communicate and understand the implications of. But this is like saying like, why does I don't know, McDonald's provide food to the IDF? And it's like, well, they have a store in Israel.
No, why does
McDonald's
McDonald's provide food for the IDF? I don't know if they do. But like, why would they? No, like these deprivations were happening. The theft of land was happening. The murder of Palestinians was happening. The imprisonment of Palestinians was happening. The rape of Palestinians was happening. Right. The theft of land was happening. All that was happening beforehand too. Right. Like October 7th, right, or sorry, October 8th is when that accelerated. But like that all was true beforehand, and now we're saying, oh, okay, I guess like the evil was diffuse enough here, right? And we shouldn't blame my software engineer friends because I don't know, man. Like that type of evil, I guess is fine. But now
well,
when
again,
we're
it's
talking
like
about
we're comparing a company that provides things to everyone, and in everyone is included horrible
in
people,
the
versus
field that you
Blackwater,
understand,
which is, hey, it is our explicit job to go in here, and we have an explicit track record of killing civilians
hey,
on
are you
purpose. Which I don't think you can paint Google and Blackwater.
I just want to make sure. Hold on. I just want to make sure that two things. Okay, one, this isn't an Israel-Palestine debate. I know that's a bit off topic. Let's rein it back in. And two, technically, we are all working for Google right now because we're on YouTube and Google owns YouTube. So, just saying, we're just like Platner in that we work for Blackwater. I guess.
We're not.
Thing,
I'm better than Platner because I am not working for Google in support of Israel.
And then $5 from Prime. I'm sorry, from Cameraman 502 to say Prime will cry about genocide while defending a well-known symbol of actual genocide. He has no principles. Thank you for the $5. Okay, that's it. Let's bring it back to Platner.
Well-known what back? Sorry, what was the?
He's saying you're a hypocrite because you're defending the mistake he made of the tattoo, but then getting upset at the Israel thing, which is fucking
sign
stupid.
Of genocide. Meaning
it's like because Grant Platner didn't get it because he hates Jews. Like that's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
like,
I have maybe you missed it, right? And so you didn't see earlier in the VOD, right? So don't worry, I'll correct you. What I said specifically is that I don't defend the Nazi tattoo at all. It's a huge red flag, right? I stated that. You can go back and take a look at that statement in case you missed that. But no, I'm not defending that at all, right? I'm talking about like what kind of party do we want to be, right? So first of all, again, like the thing about like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft actually. I think it's interesting when our friend Soypill, right, is closer to an industry that he understands, right? He's got friends in. He's like, yeah, I know a lot of people in there, right? And it would be weird if we like put that level of accountability for them working for companies that facilitate evil, right? Which is what the IDF does, right? But when I'm talking about this Grand Platinum, who, as far as we know, didn't himself, as far as we know, maybe something will come out, right? Didn't engage in war crimes, right? Like Blackwater isn't doing war crimes every second of the day. They're a mercenary company hired by the United States of America, right? Doing a lot of the same things, and this is what soldiers will tell you, right? They do almost the exact same job that they're doing, just for a fuck ton more money. And so if that's the deal that people are giving you, yeah, it actually makes sense. I can do the exact same thing while getting paid three, four, five times the money. Yeah, of course he's going to take it, right? Right?
I,
If they
I think
say
the issue is
hold on,
the level
if
of
in the
separation, right,
contract, hold on
Prime?
a second,
Well, let Prime
if
finish
within
first.
the contract it says, right? Oh, include like party responsibilities, right? Are war crimes, and we list like a menu of war crimes that you're going to be a part of. Okay, that's a bit different, but that's not how that works, right? The fierceness of this evil. I guess we're just deciding the levels of accountability. He didn't actually take part in it. Like
It's
these were just like, go ahead.
it's levels, right? And I understand this, but the level of separation matters. So here's an example. I graduated with an aerospace degree, and in my industry in San Diego, 80 to 90% of those jobs are defense. Almost all of my friends went and worked for the defense. Do I think these people are complicit in war crimes necessarily? No, but I chose and I had to struggle to find a job that wasn't in that industry, which I had the privilege of doing. Not everyone does. In fact, not everyone can. There literally aren't enough jobs. But these people are all now working for Boeing, Northrop Grumman, or literally the Department of Defense in some cases. And it's like, okay, this is pretty damn close to you are complicit in what the US military is doing. And I don't agree with that. I think if I can avoid that, I'm going to. Now, we are talking and we are making an equivalence here between I'm joining an organization, which I think, like, on the scale of Google to Boeing, Northrop Grumman to Blackwater, this is the organization that did the war crimes. Okay. And I think that is far worse than someone who is doing a software job, potentially doing a front end app for like the Google Home and saying, yeah, I don't think this person's complicit in genocide. Just like I wouldn't go to a Starbucks employee and say, you are complicit in genocide, or anyone ordering it for not boycotting Starbucks, for not participating in BDS, saying you're complicit in genocide, as the same as joining a paramilitary group that has a history and a track record of doing horrible, evil things. I think this is a scale, and I don't think we can draw an equivalence here.
Okay, how about this? Person goes to work for Caterpillar, right? You're an engineer, right? Caterpillar needs engineers.
Yeah.
Are they complicit? And in
And
case for if everyone,
okay, is
just for
to
the
yeah,
audience,
can you give me
just
the
for the audience
no,
to know,
for me too. Give me
yeah.
the context.
Oh, yeah, sure. Caterpillar is they make like bulldozers and like whatnot. They're the ones that you are aware of their machinery. You see them all
Yeah,
everywhere,
yeah.
right?
I know what
Like
they do, yeah.
and
I'm
backhoes
assuming
and
what
stuff.
does the
Like
IDF use it to, like, destroy Gaza?
they are they are avid supporters of the occupation, right? They are the official like construction equipment or destruction equipment used by the IDF, right?
Right.
And have been for many years. And
I would say
so
that is worse, right? Like, not as bad as the Blackwater thing, but it's like if your CEO is like, "Here's me and my buddy Netanyahu, and God, do I love what the IDF is doing," and then you choose when given the option between multiple places to join this. Yeah, I think that's more akin to what Platner did. Yes, 100%.
okay. Right. So that's okay. So that's bad.
Yeah.
You'd say like, um, I would say so. The argument that I was making, right, was true. Try to show like the dissonance, right, and like, hey, I think it's convenient where you're making these levels
Like,
of
when do I condemn? When do I not? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so like if I'm looking at an engineer. Well, I don't know. Engineering is a bit different because you guys do have a lot more opportunities. But no, I'll stay consistent here. I'd say that like, are you necessarily complicit in the genocide? No, but you're making a bad decision. Like once you find out, right? Especially if you didn't know in the first place, right? If you didn't know in the first place, and you joined an outfit, right? Okay, well then what are we gonna say, right? If you continue to work for the outfit after you know, right? Well, I think you get a level of accountability, or
Yeah, and
yeah,
credit to him, he
accountability.
did say this radicalized him. I left after what, like one term or
Yeah,
whatever, one deployment.
yeah. So like, I'm trying to follow Graham Plattner's career here, right? So like, now I'm putting him as an engineer in Caterpillar. Okay, so he doesn't know at the start, right? But then he does find out, and then he says like, "Oh, this is too much for me. I'm gonna leave." Right? Like, in fact, now I'm gonna be, a big BDS type of person, right? I look at that individual and say, okay, maybe you made a mistake for not understanding what your employer was doing at first, right? I think your accountability grows for how long you've been attached to that organization, right? And I take into account, right, you leaving that organization. I take into account you condemning that organization afterwards, and that seems to be like the track record, like the series of events here for Graham
It,
Platner.
it does show growth. I agree with this, but I guess this is my main issue. And again, this is not me attacking him as like poor judgment in the past. This is if this person gets into office and he's shown that even recently, the way that he responds to things, I think shows poor judgment, even if it's much worse back then, obviously. Like the way that he took so long to do anything about this and then kind of got a hastily cover up that didn't even cover it up very well. I don't know if you saw it. He's still got the like little nipples of the bone there. It's like, okay, if let's say this person wins, let's say he's got the best electoral chance and we get him in. Now he's going to be trying to pass policy that I want, but still making bad decisions in that policy, maybe passing them poorly, maybe aligning himself with poor people, making mistakes that I don't want someone with my preferred politics to make. And so when I would see, like, comparing this to an AOC thing where it's like, I think she has really good judgment. I've seen her compromise where she needs to. I think she's going to, like, you know, have the power to run for a senator, maybe even president at some point. I want those people stepping up. And that's why ultimately, if he's still showing poor judgment now, yes, okay, he can overcome that. Yes, he can have growth, but I want someone better. And I know there are better people who have better judgment and still have these policies, and he needs to step down and make room for that person.
You've said this then. I'm really glad you made this comparison, right? Because I think AOC has shown a lot of poor judgment. While, you know, having policies that more or less match my own. No, I think she's actually made a series of bad mistakes. I think that she's desperately tried to make herself lovable, right, to the establishment, right, when they fucking hate her, right?
Wait, why is that a bad thing?
Because what she does is she subordinates herself to them, right, and she ends up voting along in the way that they want to, while actually taking stances that need to be made, right. So
isn't that
like,
good? Isn't that how you gain power and make connections? And that's why she has more.
That's first of all, that's not how Bernie Sanders did it.
Yeah, but that's why Bernie lost, because he didn't have those connections.
No. Bernie lost. Okay, sorry.
Okay, this is okay. I'm done with flag on the play. This isn't a Bernie lost in 2016.
I do want to talk about this.
No. We're not doing the thing.
Can we please? Please, for me.
Let me get through these super chats and then maybe. But we are far afield a little bit. Okay.
Well, this is important. No, this is directly related, Wick, because it's what would Platner do in office that AOC is doing.
I'll let you make the argument.
AOC did.
But let me make my cheddar. Okay. TL1524 says for $5 says, "I'm sorry. This is how I know the left is full of crap. A whole news cycle was about Pete Hegseth, for those of you who don't know. Christian tat as bad, but a Nazi one is fine because my side." And then $10.
Wait, no. Well, you've got to respond to these. Okay. If he still has it and he's unapologetically saying, yes, Deus Volt, let's do a holy war in America, which he fucking did in this book, that's very different from him going, oh, whoops, I didn't realize this was bad, and covering it up. So shut the fuck up, commentator. You're so stupid.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with our friend Soypill here. The reason why I think there's a difference here, I like the comparison, so thank you for making the comparison, right, between Peacocks. Pete does have like a bunch of crusade-ish, crusade type tattoos, right? Very Christian nationalist tattoos. The difference here between Pete and Graham is that Pete wholeheartedly is a Christian nationalist. Right, like that, like the tattoo matches his ideology full force, and he's not at all like disavowing that tattoo. Right, he's very proud of that ideology. On the other hand, for Graham Platner, this is what I was trying to draw some distance between these two things, right? One, he got that the tattoo is bad, right? Fair enough, right? But it's perfectly plausible he didn't know what it is, because I think most Americans have no idea what that is, right? Even now, still have no idea what that is. And then two, like when we see his statements, right, in Reddit, right, where he's like being full on troll, where he's like clearly he's not
like all copter bastard, I'm a communist, like, and he's being pretty sincere.
All of it is left leaning, right? Some of it problematic, but still left leaning and like anti-fascist. So clearly there's a dissonance here, right? People can make a mistake there into like what they put on their bodies. Like they do it all the time.
Okay, $10 from Zonia to say, was Platner ever a commanding officer? If not, then these criticisms of him regarding the Marines and his merc work are pretty insubstantive, in my opinion. Thank you for the $10. Okay, now you can get back to your Bernie line. Soypill.
Bernie Sanders lost for a number of reasons, but I have lots of criticisms of his campaign. But one of the main reasons is because the establishment shanked him, and they shanked him because of his stances, his beliefs, right? That he was.
But yes,
the
Prime.
progressive
But
one.
that was my point, though.
Yeah, I know it's your point, right? I know it's your point. And so, what do we want? Do we want an AOC to get in office who's like so compromised that like she's acceptable to a Nancy Pelosi, right? Or do we
But
want
is that what
AOC?
you think she is right now? Do you think she's like
I
compromised?
I think she is compromising herself at this point, right? I don't think she's like a lost cause or anything, but I think that she's been making decisions, like for instance, like not voting to stop shipments of weapons to Israel, right? Like, yeah, that's the thing you do of for the benefit of the DNC to be a team player, right? That is the type of judgment I have a problem with, right? So
But
we've been having
here's
a lot
the
of conversations. One second. You've talked a lot about
no, no.
judgment, right? And what shows a lack of judgment, and and what should be applicable. I don't think getting a bad tattoo is applicable, especially one as far as we could tell was a mistake, right? I don't think that's applicable to how he operates in office, right? You specifically bring up AOC, right? And you're like, well, oh, this one's fantastic. Well, AOC just keeps making decisions, right? That if you're a leftist that you disagree with, they're a big problem, right? Some of them may be understandable, right? I get that politics, isn't it shouldn't be like a purity test, right? I'm not purity testing her. I'm saying that she's showing a track record of trying to subordinate herself to the establishment, not becoming a leader here, right? Not leading a movement. I think she's doing better actually right now, like in this very moment. She's actually doing
She's
a
doing
better
really
job
well.
than she was previously. Right now, I'm more impressed with her. But like for the past while, she's showing a track record of subordination. That is the type of like judgment that I'm concerned about, right? Are you going to be a leader in this party, right? Or are you just going to pulled around by the nose by whatever corporate pack
But that's the
you
thing
have?
about AOC. I have to say this is like her ability to compromise in that way is what's going to get her in power. It's going to let her be a leader because the people that are purity test, like I will never, ever, ever work with Nancy Pelosi, they get nowhere. And if Graham Platner is one of those people and that
That's
judgment
not
is
what I
reflected,
said,
I don't,
right?
I know, but let me finish. Bernie Sanders got rat fucked by the establishment in a few ways, like the super delegates, the DNC showing killer favoritism, but that was because he was someone who did not make those inroads. And while I respect, and like I said, he's my preferred candidate, while I respect that he has been a consistent person with progressive policies that I want, the problem is if he is not able to do what AOC is doing now, and I think AOC is like, clearly being mentored by him, learning from those mistakes and saying, I do need to make some of those inroads because otherwise what's going to happen is on Super Tuesday, all the coalition of establishment Dems are going to say, hey, we're all stepping down and we're going to support Joe Biden. And yeah, that sucks. And it's unfair insofar as it's clearly them stepping on the scale, but he didn't have those connections and he's not going to win. So he's not going to be able to pass policy if he ever did get an office, which he didn't because he didn't get enough votes. And so my issue is if Graham Platner is showing that he doesn't have the judgment to make the kind of calls that AOC does, and I think, you say, oh, I think she's showing worse judgment because of the decisions. I think this is good. That's a disconnect there. I think that the thing she's voting for, even the ones I disagree with are, hey, she's doing a really good job ingratiating herself with the people that are going to be able to give her
Why
power.
does she have to make
I
that
don't.
vote about Israel?
I think that ingratiates her with the people that want her to make those votes,
Okay,
and
right. So yeah, so when we talked about
ultimately,
it,
her
one
making
side,
a statement
and
on that vote doesn't help her. But her voting in a way that gets people to help her with new votes and new policies and new, not councils. God, what the fuck
so
is
we
the
can horse trade on genocide, right? So I understand horse trading. Of course, it happens, right? It happens all the time, right? Like Bernie has
Wait,
stances
sorry,
on
can you say what was the verb you're saying? I
sorry,
actually don't.
sorry,
Horse
didn't actually
trade
Horse
is
trading?
in make deals.
horse trading,
Okay,
horse
excuse me.
trading.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah. So I understand, like for instance, Bernie has stances on guns that I'm not a particular fan of, right? Bernie, like I have lots of issues with Bernie, right? Still love them. Lots of issues of burning. But the point is that, like, I understand that within politics there is a level of give and take, right? But
Yeah.
also in politics, right? There should be things that are,
You
there
shouldn't
should be
compromise on,
stance
yeah.
the person should take that aren't up for debate, right? And it depends on which side of the aisle you're on, right? And so if it's like, maybe someone could say, like, a woman's right to choose, right? Like, maybe that should be part of the progressive platform, that, hey, that we should be voting for a woman's right to choose, to expand that ability. It could be on civil rights, in terms of our LGBT brothers and sisters. Some people would say that, right? And me personally, I would say, yeah, the when we're talking about the genocide, right? Like, actually, why are we horse trading on that when she
Just
didn't
to be
even
clear, was
have
this
to,
about
right?
the present vote on the Iron Dome thing, or is it a different thing? I'm sure there's been multiple votes on this.
There's been multiple. I don't have it. I don't have it on me.
Well,
Sorry,
because
I don't have
I'm
it.
looking up
Are we
the
talking
one about
about
the
the
present
Marjorie
vote.
Taylor Greene vote to remove weapons funding, or not weapons funding, but funding for the Iron Dome? Is that what we're talking about?
I forget which one. Honestly, I don't remember
Okay,
the
so you don't
exact
know
one. So I
which
don't want
one
to.
that you're mad about.
Well, because I'm rereading and I
Well, no,
remember this like
I'm
present
sorry.
vote, and
I
I'm
didn't.
thinking like I think she did show good judgment on this. It's like, yeah, whether or not you like, if she had voted yes, let's vote for all arms to go to Israel, which I don't think she did. First of all, I think the Iron Dome is like one of the only things that the IDF does. I'm like, this is probably fine. It's like almost purely defensive. Worst case scenario, they accidentally miss, but it's like one of the one things I'd be like, yeah, I'm okay with funding this and not the fucking
Yeah, I'm
2K
not okay with
bombs.
that. No, I'm not
Really?
okay with that. Yeah, no, fuck that. No.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
regardless,
Yeah, again, not an
she didn't even vote.
Israel-Palestine debate. Let's
Right.
reel it in.
That's why I
Let's
said
get back
regardless.
to Platner,
Regardless,
please, for the love of God.
well, this is all the judgment thing is the relevant thing, where it's like, do you think AOC has good judgment, Wick? So it's like, I think voting present on this and then coming out with a big statement saying, hey, I'm sorry to all the people that I disappointed in the community, but I'm opposing the Iron Dome supplemental bill, but I did this because of some policy, blah 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 blah. She had an explanation for this that, like, whether or not you agree with, I don't think shows poor
I don't
judgment.
agree with it.
Right,
No,
right,
I
okay,
think it
but
does.
okay, well, okay. Then
Yeah,
finish
well,
what you were saying then, because I guess we're just
sure.
not going to see eye to eye on this one particular thing.
Yeah, I think it does show poor judgment. I think it shows, one, a lack of conviction. That, like, when it matters, right? Like, you don't like make the affirmative action, right? You're trying to. I think the reason why she made that statement is that she was trying to stay below the radar, right? Like, she didn't vote against that bill, the Marjorie Taylor Greene. I believe that's the bill that I'm thinking of. But I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
she voted. She
I
voted
just don't
present.
remember.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, she didn't vote against it, right? Like, if you're going to vote against it, then vote against it, right? But no, is she even? She just like, I'm just going to vote present, right? Which is the same as voting against it, right?
right.
But
And
still, she's like trying to stay under the.
in her explanation, she says, "I'm not." Well, this isn't verbatim, but she's like, "I did not want to start a contention with the House Majority Leader, like in the middle of like this big conflict. I want to turn the temperature down because ultimately, voting no
The
on
House
this,
Majority Leader. The
voting no
House
on."
Majority Leader. That's. I'm sorry, I didn't see this. Like, she said, the House Majority Leader.
I can read the whole paragraph. It
Um,
says,
Go ahead.
the reckless decision by House leadership to rush this controversial vote within a matter of hours and without true consideration created a tinderbox of vitriol, disingenuous framing, deeply racist accusations and depictions, and lack of substantive discussion on the matter. I want to be clear that the decision to rush this vote, virtually preventing any member from meaningfully consulting with their community, was both intentional and unnecessary. Even the night before, as it became clear that the discourse around this issue was quickly devolving from substance to hateful targeting, I personally had a call with the House Majority Leader to request a 24-hour stay of the vote so that we could do the work necessary to bring down the temperature and volatility, explain our positions, and engage our communities. That request was summarily dismissed. Not only was the request dismissed, but despite the House having almost 8 straight hours of votes, this vote was chosen to be the first, despite being one of the most controversial. So to me, it seems like she's like, okay, I'm trying to tone down the temperature. I'm just going to vote present. I don't want to like make a big stink about like this big thing, which will ultimately not stop this funding from going through. And whether or not you agree with that, because you can disagree with that, and I think it could be reasonable, I don't think is like, holy shit, AOC has poor judgment. Like, especially
Yeah.
when we're comparing this to, oh, we got a dumb tattoo. It's like, yeah, you etched a Nazi symbol onto your body permanently. I think that's way
Yeah.
worse.
So like, in a moment where AOC has a lot more information than Graham Platner does in terms of this tattoo, right? She has a lot more information. She is well ensconced in her uh, in her community, right? And she knows like, oh, she needs to like take this to her community, see what her community is going to say about this, right? And bring down the temperature. Bullshit! Like I can't believe this is what you fought for. Like I'm glad I didn't know. I didn't hear about this statement previously, right? Because it would have only made me madder. Like, are you kidding me? This is like a politician Weasley words. Oh, we're going to bring down the temperature on this. But how is she going to bring down the temperature on the Israel Gaza debate, right? When is that going to happen?
Not on the debate in the
How many
communities. She's referencing the debate in Congress and how that she needs to like. This is what I'm talking about. She's like,
when was the temperature going to be brought down in Congress about like the Israel Gaza? How long would she have needed to bring down the temperature there? Right?
No, it's about not turning it up by causing a big stink about this the day they try to rush
turning it up
through.
would be a big problem. Oh, okay, yes. Having
I don't know the inner workings of the congressional politics, but it seems like this was a judgment call that you can disagree with. But
okay, yeah. So when we're talking about judgment, what type of judgment is applicable? Because there's all types of judgments, right? There's like judgments in terms of your romantic partners, right? People can have poor judgment in terms of their romantic partners to devastating effect, right? Mm-hmm. That's a thing, right? But if you have a poor judgment of your romantic partner, does that mean you're going to be a poor legislator? I probably not, right? There might be some instances, maybe I say yes, but like I would say probably not. Is there poor judgment in like you as a parent? Maybe you aren't attentive enough to your kids, and you say mean things to them that you shouldn't do, right? Is that going to mean you're going to be a poor legislator? Probably not, right? Maybe, but probably not. So when we're talking about a tattoo, like that you didn't know what that was, which you've already agreed to. Well, if that's the case, yeah, probably not. That judgment doesn't apply. Now I'm talking about specifically with AOC, right? An example of a record, right? An example of her using Weasley fucking words to get out of making the appropriate vote for her community that she damn well knows, right? Which is why she put it out statement in the first place, right? Because she damn well knew what the response was going to be. Yet she did it anyway, right? And then you're saying, well,
can we analyze what that choice is, right? Like, would you say like is poor judgment? Let's again, this is not something I disagree with. Would you say it's poor judgment to say this will hurt my chances of getting things that I know I can actually effectively change with a vote if I make a meaningless but like a virtue signal vote that won't change the policy but will alienate me from people that I need to work with in the future? Do you think that is poor judgment? You can say I don't agree with it, which is fine. I don't think that's poor judgment.
Sure. Okay. Let's change. I'll answer that. Right.
Answer it. Then I have a question.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, answer the question. Then I have a question. Go ahead.
Sure, I'm going to throw it back at you with a question, right?
Sure.
So we're just going to change. We're going to change the vote, right? Let's say it was to stop the reinstating of Jim Crow, right?
Yeah.
And instead of voting for the affirmative, stopping Jim Crow, right? Even though it was going to a vote she was going to lose, right? She just voted present, right? Yeah. Hey, I need time to take down the temperature and talk to my constituencies about like reinstating Jim Crow, right? Like, would you say that's not a big? Really,
yeah, my assessment would be the same. Where it's like this is abhorrent. This like legislation is being passed, but if you're able to not alienate certain people in this party, now obviously I think her as a brown person, I don't think her connections with any Republicans, although I think she was doing this for connections with Democrats, would matter. But yeah, if she was able to then mitigate damage later with votes that actually matter, yeah, I would say that's good judgment. Now again, you might disagree, but
awful.
Like
yeah.
What do you mean?
So what wouldn't be? Hold on, replace that, right? Like we can keep replacing, like in terms of Japanese internment camps, right? Like
make it worse. Say it's like it's the bill to kill half of Americans, right? Like, right? And you voted president.
Wait a minute. What about what do you think of Barbara Lee? Barbara Lee, you might be familiar. Representative Barbara Lee was the only one to vote against the I believe it was the authorization to go to war
in Iraq, right?
In Iraq. Or was it the Patriot Act? It's one of the others.
It's one of the two, yeah.
Now. Yeah, but one of those two, right? But she was like the sole vote in the House of Representatives. Yeah. So you would say, right, like it doesn't matter. Like, we don't need a person to do that. Like, she should.
I'm
It's
not saying that
equal.
necessarily.
Sorry,
What
hold on
I'm
one second.
saying,
It's
yeah,
let me finish. Let me finish. It's equal, right? It's an equal choice, either to make the negative vote and take that stance, right, or to just go along with the crowd, right? You look at a those two paths and say, no big difference, right? In fact, if she goes along with the crowd, then maybe she can get something better later
right.
on, right?
No, I
So
do think
why
that's
be brave?
ridiculous, and I don't necessarily agree with that, right? So it depends on what the circumstances are. I think that making a statement as the sole no, even though you won't change the legislation, does have its place. But there are also places where you have to make a statement that is going to be bad, even like the worse than AOC. Let's say Obama on gay marriage saying marriage should not be between two men, but then later, because saying those things allowed him to get elected in certain states that would be anti-gay marriage, did allow him to push for legislation or push the Supreme Court and Joe Biden to push him into being more pro-gay marriage. Like, these are compromises, and they're not always correct. Sometimes you make a miscalculation. You do something that you think, okay, this will help me make the connections, but fucking A, I just lost my whole constituency and they're never going to vote for me again. And yeah, they can be wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, I don't think that doing this in this case is showing poor judgment. It could be a bad decision, and you can agree with that, but I don't think it means anything close to what I'm worried about with Platner, which the whole debate is about, which is I think that this person won't make those good decisions. He's shown me that he will not make a calculus that I might disagree with. He's shown me he does things in ignorance, and he does things with what am I saying? Not impulsiveness, that are not what I want in a representative. That's what I'm worried about.
Okay. I do want to get it back on the Platner thing, and maybe this question will help. That statement did help a little bit. To Prime, if we are to excuse Platner's tattoos and such now, what is this? Say one more time.
I'm not excusing anything.
Well,
Right?
if
I'm
you're
not
advocating
excusing
that
anything.
you're still going to vote for him and still think he should be the candidate, are you not excusing it?
No, that's not an excuse, right? There's difference, right? There's one to say that, like, this this is a non-issue, right? I've said, like, hey, this is a red flag. We should be keep track of this, right? Like, keep that, like, okay. Let me try to illustrate this, right? Like, I think, like, let's look at this as a flask, right? This is going to be our flask. This is going to be like our no vote flask, right? And in this flask, we're going to fill it with things that will make it that make us want to vote against a candidate, right? And so, like, we'll add, like, their, like, policies, right? They got some policies that I don't like, just a few, right? On parking tickets, maybe he wants to, like, up up the price of parking tickets, right? Well, I don't want to really vote for that, but so I fill up the
Only
flask.
for rich
It
people,
does.
I'd agree.
Yeah, yeah, right. Then maybe it's his upbringing. Well, I mean, he was a rich guy, right? And so, like, he's not going to understand me. So that fills up the flask. But we haven't yet got to, like, the top of the flask where it overflows, right? You can put the tattoo, right? Him getting the tattoo within that flask. I'm saying it doesn't, for me, go past the point of no return, right? It's a consideration that I'm adding to the calculus, right? I'm not excusing it as, like, this is a nothing burger, right?
I
And
understand.
don't even bother looking at it. But, like, it's not enough, right? It's not determinative, certainly.
I guess what's getting me is that I heard people tell MAGA voters and Trump voters all the time, saying, "Well, you yourself might not be racist, but you're okay with racism." And what is to keep others in the right from turning on us and says, "Well, why are you mad at that guy, the racist Hitler group chat, right? But you have a candidate that you're endorsing who has had a Nazi
Racist Hitler
tattoo."
group chat.
Wick, this is the same as the
Oh,
Pete
that's
Hegseth thing, because he clearly doesn't demonstrate any of the values that were aligned with the tattoo, which is why I don't think he's a secret Nazi. And if a single fucking dipshit right winger comes at me and says, "You're okay with a racist if I voted for this guy in the general," it's like, go fuck yourself, go look at your
But
entire
this
party.
guy
you
had a
fucking
Nazi
moron.
tattoo for 18 plus years, knew it, and there's evidence that he knew it was a Nazi tattoo for
Yeah.
years. Does that say nothing at all?
Well, again, Prime and I disagree. I think it shows poor judgment that I think is disqualifying. He doesn't, but both of us agree this is clearly not a Nazi guy. His texts were leaked, or his Reddits were leaked. He's not fucking a secret Nazi. He's not out there like spreading right-wing propaganda. He's the complete opposite. So I don't see how that that is never going to hold water when you have Stephen Miller and like all these other people in office right now doing white nationalist shit. When you have Jack Posobiec going and like working with the White House, who's literally a Nazi and like works with Jason Kessler and Richard Spencer. Like that is never going to be the attack that works in the general. The thing I'm worried about is if he can beat if a Democrat will vote for him, if they are upset about it and they're like they like me say this guy doesn't have good judgment, they don't elect him, or they don't elect him after he wins the primary. That's the problem. But it looks like, again, maybe this Prime we can talk about. One, if his campaign manager says he knew about it before, and you said that this might be true, we don't know. If his campaign manager is saying this, does the lying about it not show poor judgment or something that you would distrust in a politician or a leader?
I'm not sure if it's. No, I won't dance around that. No, that shows poor judgment if it was the case that he lied about it. One, because I think you should understand by now, especially since the whole thing, this all came up in the first place, is that like you're gonna get caught, right? And if you lie about this eventually, like they're gonna find something, right? And so yeah, like I would say that would be an example of poor judgment. Fair.
But not enough for you to not vote for him, right? Like, why not?
Because I mean, like, okay.
Well, what don't you like about Janet Mills, I guess?
I'd asked that earlier too.
The corpse.
It's just
What
that
do I
she's old.
What
that's
do
my
I
biggest issue
not
with her too,
like
to be
about
fair.
the corpse? Like, I mean,
To be
I
fair, she
think
did say she'd only run for one term, like Joe Biden kind of alluded
just
to.
like Joe
But
Biden, really.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so with Janet Mills, I mean, I don't think she's like completely objectionable. Like, first of all, what we're talking about here is a primary, not a general, right? So we're not like comparing like a Republican, right? And so like,
So
yes,
old
I'm going to
versus
find
Nazi tattoo. Yeah, I mean, which you
we're gonna find areas of agreement there. But like what I want is a progressive, right? Like my goal. So like something that like I didn't get to say previously is that I disagree with our friend Soy here, and I think we've disagreed before on panel. That on vote blue no matter who. I used to be on that timing. I'm not on that timing anymore. Fuck that. No, right? Like yet another radicalizing moment for me was October 7th. On that, right? Or at the very least, a response from Genocide Joe on that. So no, I'm not a vote blue no matter who. It actually matters to me which one I get. So like if I don't get a candidate that meets my standards, right? No, I'm not going to.
Even if
That
that
being
means the
said,
world is worse off, like I don't understand the sentiment. Like if,
I know you don't.
let's say
I know you don't
Platner
understand.
loses. Let's say Mills is
I know,
worse than Platner, right? And Mills gets in and she loses to Susan Collins, and
hold
they
on,
have
hold on,
like, isn't that worse if
one
Susan
second, one second.
Collins stays in
I didn't
Senate?
say. Hold on. I just wanted to make that statement. I'm not necessarily saying that Janet Mills doesn't meet m- my
Oh, your
threshold,
threshold.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I don't know enough about Janet Mills to be sure of that, right? From what I understand about her, I just want to like make that clear that like we aren't on the same page on that level. But
Okay.
from what I understand about her, she just seems to be a more or less a standard corporate Democrat. I don't like standard corporate Democrats. Now, I voted for standard corporate Democrat. I have one that was in my district. I voted for them for years, and I'll like continue to vote for them, right? I don't have a choice in that matter. No one's stepped up, and well, you know me. I've said too much on the internet. So, but like, yeah, she doesn't seem like she's going to push the envelope on any particular policies. She's just going to be
Why do you
more
say
of the
that? I mean,
same.
like, do you like? She's been governor. She has a pretty proven track record. She won more votes than like anyone since like 1970. So like the Mainers already love her. She got a lot more people insured. Like I think 100,000 people, and she's like really good on the environment. Like these are all things that I'm like, yeah, this is not as good as Platner. She's not like a fight the oligarchy, like thing, do the progressive things I want. But it's
Sure,
like, hey, if this
sure.
person's currently polling better, shows good judgment, has a track record in office, I'm going to enthusiastically say, yes, let's get her over the guy who clearly has shown poor judgment. And that's like my whole issue.
Yeah. So once again, I think that his level of poor judgment, and I agree, poor judgment has been shown, is not disqualifying, right? And we're talking about a primary. In a primary, I want what I want, right? Like the primary is the time I get to have a choice, right? I don't get to have a choice during the general. Well, I do have a choice. I cannot vote, but like which is a valid choice.
Well, then, would you
But
agree with my statement, which is what my best option? This is pie in the sky. He should step down and be replaced by another progressive now, 8 months
what other
before the primary.
progressive? Sorry, what other
Okay,
progressive
again,
is
let's
there?
let's say it can't happen, but like hypothetically, is that not something that you would want if it could? If maybe it's idealism, but like, wouldn't that be way better?
Sure. Oh, no, I'll give you this. I am not married to Graham Platner. Thank you.
Then you would
I'm
have
not
leaked for the
related.
tattoo thing if you were.
Yeah.
Imagine that staring
um,
into your face
dur-
every night as you're. Anyway, go ahead.
during our nights of passion, yeah, I
Yes.
would have taken a picture. But no, so I'm not tied to this individual, right? And so if there was a better progressive option, right, that would have a better chance of getting into office and pushing my progressive policies, well, then yeah, I would support that person. I'm like, all right, well, like looking at this from from a cold politics standpoint, right, and not simply getting a Democrat to office because that is a different calculation, right? But
No.
getting a progressive into office, which is the calculation within the primary, right? Well, then I would go with the second progressive if they also were like assuming they were equally as strong.
Here's my question: how far would he need to fall in polling against Collins for you to say, I'm going to call, even if there might not be a replacement right now, I'm going to call for him to name a replacement?
I don't know. Uh,
Like, let's say this. If after this, the
no.
polling was still like 40-40, like people are still pretty divided, I would be like, look, it seems like it's not going to hurt him. I'm not going to fight him on this. If it doesn't hurt him, it doesn't hurt him. If he wins, right? But it looks now, based on all the polls I've seen, this is hurting him. And it's like, okay, well, now you're not going to win. And now by not stepping down, you are sabotaging my chances of getting a real progressive in by not trying to get a successor in there ASAP and giving them 8 months to actually campaign until June. Like that is, again, bad judgment in my opinion. But if he was right to say, I'm not going to admit anything and I won't step down, and it didn't hurt his polling, then I'd be like, well, I guess it's not bad judgment. Clearly it's working, but it looks like it's not. And that's my issue too.
I don't think that's not how I've seen enough campaigns to know like the to and fro of them of like the mountains and the troughs, right, of an election. Graham Platner is facing a negative news cycle. Graham Platner has ads against him. He has a lot of money arrayed. He has like DNC statesmen, elder statesmen, like against him, like Zoran did, right? Like he has like an array of like bad attention coming to him in this way, right? And in this moment, yes, in this news cycle, he will absolutely be hurt. I don't know how he couldn't be hurt in this situation, right? And again, because I think this is a red flag, an acknowledged red flag, and when that happens to any candidate, right, you are going to see a dip within the polls. What I'm going to look for is the recovery, right? Is there a recovery? And we got to give them some amount of time. Now, it doesn't have to be 8 months, right? We can say maybe in 2 months, right? Like, hey, this
There's a good
hasn't.
chance in 2 weeks everyone just forgets. I'm not going to deny that.
So like when facing a negative news cycle, that alone is not enough to like once the news cycle moves on, right? And he's still been campaigning, he's still drawing massive numbers of individuals to his rallies. Like if his poll numbers don't improve or just keep sinking, yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. But otherwise, yeah, that's not enough to convince me.
Okay.
Nazi tattoos, negative news cycle. Okay, here we go.
Who among us hasn't had a negative news cycle,
I
Wick?
understand.
I guess if my high school files get leaked, Wick, I'm done for. All the dumb shit I ever said.
Look, I understand. I do. I get you. I just don't know if it's wise for us to open this box of permissions because other people are going to take it much further than we should. I do think that there is value in drawing a thick red line and say, doesn't matter the context, doesn't matter the everything surrounding it. There are certain things that are simply disqualifying. Period.
Context doesn't matter.
I think that there are certain things that, in the interest of not having this push beyond what we want, that we should draw just a thick red line around it and say it doesn't, like, this is just no discussion.
Wait, I'm going to turn my question back at you, Wick. If Graham Platner was polling like 90-10 to Susan Collins and Mills after this, Mills was polling like 10-90, would you still support him?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the super chats, aka Batozai and Doobie, $10 for very important message in DMs. If this is your dick again, I'm gonna be very mad.
Again.
Okay. A is a Nazi, and this is his $10 message. Okay, and then I'll answer your question. But A is a Nazi who promises to kill 5 million Jews. B is a communist who promises to kill 5 million Jews and 1 capitalist. C is a liberal who promises to completely erase an indigenous group of 3 million. Who should we vote for?
Who's the capitalist?
Doobie, that's a good question. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
I might go for B, depending on who the capitalist is. Even if I'm one of the 5 million.
To answer your question, frankly, if Platner was polling at 90-10, I would be very, very concerned that we have accepted that kind of behavior in the party. I would not support him, even if he pulled very, very well. Like,
even if he let me ask you this. Like, as much as I'll defend AOC stuff, if he's the one who can take Collins down, I'm gonna support him.
Hold on,
even if I denounce what he's done.
What if he had been found to have CP on his computer? Okay, he's has CP on his computer, and he's still pulling 90-10, right? He's still probably gonna unseat Collins.
Yeah,
you gonna let him
I
go?
wouldn't support him personally, but I would say, like, hey, we're still gonna vote for him over Collins. Yeah,
hold on,
absolutely.
Even if he had CP on it, hold on, stop, Prime.
Wick, I'm gonna answer you directly. No, Wick, I'm gonna answer you directly because this is the problem with your lack of context, right? He has CP on his computer, right? But someone else put it there, right? But like,
I'm saying
he had it on the hypothetical. Graham Platner is jerking it to CP.
No, but he doesn't add that, right? He gets you to assume all these things, right? But like, that's context, right? So what you just did there, Soypill, is that you added context. Oh, okay, now he's jerking off to CP.
That's the point of the hypothetical, is what I'm saying.
No, it's not. Hold on, no, but the point of the hypothetical, attacking the hypothetical, because I'm attacking what he said previously. We don't look at context, right? So if you add additional context to the scenario, right, that like he's jerking off to it, okay, well that changes things. If you had additional context that he's not jerking off to it, and in fact, someone else put it on.
No one chose that tattoo for him. He chose it himself.
Wait. Wick, I think actually someone did choose the tattoo for him. That's kind of the story. Is like all his drunk military buddies like, I thought one, you know, like
I could be wrong on this, right?
Maybe, but it was like a drunken stupor thing, is my understanding.
Okay, either way,
I'll put the responsibility on him.
If I found out I had CP on my computer, and even if someone put it there and I kept it there for 18 years, it'd still be a problem.
No,
right? It'd still be a problem. Hold on, soy.
Because I have to answer this.
So answer the question,
right?
So 90-10, you'd still vote for him over Collins?
Like where I'm like, yeah, if Joe Biden, like in the general election, had come into my house and raped my whole family, I would have still voted for him. Yeah, like that's how much I'm like, I will compromise to stop.
Hold on, if Biden had come into your house and raped your whole family,
made me watch, tied me down, and he laughed in my face. He's like, "What are you going to do about it, Jack?" I'd be like, "Damn, but I still got to unseat Trump because that's more important." That's the liberal libtard mindset. All right,
are you being serious?
I'm 100% serious. I am capable of projecting that ultimately this will be better for more people, even though I fucking hate this person. Right? Like I'm understanding of like this is a utilitarian calculus that like, yeah, I fucking hate this. Yeah, I want to like hold my fucking nose and like not do it. But like, yeah, if Bill Clinton and Donald Trump somehow ran for third terms because that's the new like fucking litmus test, like, yeah, these people both are probably on the Epstein list. These people both probably did weird shit with kids. But you know what? Bill Clinton's fucking better. And I don't give a fuck about like the personal thing here if ultimately it's a choice between these two things. But that's why it's a primary now. And I say, hey, Graham Platner, this guy has good policy, but holy shit, does he have bad judgment? I'm going to vote for Janet Mills.
Do you think it was good
Graham
judgment
Platner.
to say what you just did aloud about how you'd let Biden rape your whole family?
I didn't
You'd
say I'd
still vote
let
for him over
do
Trump.
it. I said I'd let him get away with it.
Do you think that evidence is good judgment?
No,
Wait,
what it evidences is not like, oh, good, the soy pill has no values. What it is wow, the soy pill is able to understand that there are things that are going to affect other people. And just like I condemn people who abstained from Kamala, even if their families were being blown up in Gaza, that she was complicit in helping happen, ultimately, it's going to be so much fucking worse for more people under Trump that you got to hold your fucking nose and say, let's try to push them on this when it comes to like a part where I can actually push them, and not let's let Trump, the guy who says, let's let Israel do whatever the fuck we want.
This
get
is
it
where
off.
I disagree. There are
no,
fucking
that's the problem.
lines that if they're crossed, I don't vote for you, even if the other guy's worse.
Yeah. Wait, no.
What's the point of having morals? What is the point of having morals if your fucking
don't
life
worry,
gets destroyed?
I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna run this baton for you, Soypill, right? And I thank you because it gives me a chance to yell at Wick, which is my fucking favorite thing to do. Okay, Wick, I don't understand why you don't agree with Soypill, right? Like you're a vote blue no matter who guy. You've been that way the entire campaign.
No,
right?
he's not now.
Hold on. No, I'm not a vote blue
no.
no matter who. I'm a vote blue because MAGA's worse. If it changed
even
where
if Joe
blue
Biden
was
raped
worse
your
than
family,
MAGA,
Wick?
I wouldn't vote blue.
MAGA is still worse in terms of their policy. Like that doesn't change.
Yes,
the
but there
scenario,
comes a point
right?
where I say a
yeah,
pox on both your houses. I peace out.
Yeah, but it just
so
says
you let MAGA win.
It says something about It says something about your morals, right? It says a lot about your morals. That okay, it's fine when the IDF literally, and we have the proof, right? Rapes, sexually assaults, Palestinian prisoners that they have, right? They just rounded up.
Never did that shit.
Yeah. I didn't say Biden.
Hey, but in the hypothetical Soypill, we're talking about Soypill, right?
Like, no, I said IDF. I didn't say Biden. I said IDF. Excuse me. Right. So, that the IDF literally does gang rapes in prisons, right? Like takes Palestinian prisoners and forces their anuses on a metal pipe, right? We have pictures of that metal pipe. When the IDF does that, right, and then those soldiers are let go because a mob of Israelis show up at the prison, right, and are mad because people are they're being prosecuted for the rapes, right? When that happens, right, and Biden still supports. Right, you're like, oh, I guess that's fine, right? I guess that gives me a level of distance from the crime that I guess I can still support. But now it's my family, and now I guess it matters to me. My family's being raped, right? But other people's families are fine. That's okay for you.
Hold on, it's not just that. Though, yes, I do love my family and will protect my family more than strangers over the. Overseas. Doesn't mean we shouldn't care about those people. But we're talking about levels. We're talking about levels of separation where Biden didn't do any of this. Biden administration didn't do any of this. This is just a connection that he has to another administration who did that, which is a different thing.
The entire thing. Yeah, he didn't do it himself.
No, if you don't understand how that's different, I don't know how we can have a conversation.
He did. Yeah, no. That's right. No. He didn't take a bunch of Jews out into the forest, right? Make them dig a mass grave, right? And then have troops shoot at them, right? So they dropped in. No, instead, right? He just bought the guns for them, and I don't know why people are upset about that, right? He just armed them. He just armed the Nazis, and so what's the big deal? I think it's bullshit, right? I think everyone like you who vote like that is gonna be bullshit. But at least Soypill is being consistent here. Right, he's being consistent. He's like, well, hey, even if the crime happens to the people who are closest to me, no, I'll still vote for him.
Because Wick, I don't understand. It's like, I'm able to say I don't care. Well, no, I have to ask because I gotta agree with Prime. Like, no matter what, let's make it realistic. We don't have to do the Biden raping example. Let's say you had family in Gaza that were getting blown up. Sure. Would you not say that ultimately the Biden administration would be better for the country, and I will still vote for him over to stop
because
MAGA, right?
Trump has made it worse, right? Like even in that situation.
Hold on, let me answer your question.
Let me answer your question. When you have a choice between Biden and Trump was always going to be worse for Gaza.
Right.
Yes. So, yes, even I would be morally consistent and say, even if I had family in Gaza and I wanted to protect Gaza the best way I can, if I have the option between these two people, Biden is the way to go because my family will be more likely to be safe.
Okay,
under
but
Biden
if Biden's president, he's going to
than
let
Trump.
the IDF rape them in a prison.
Okay. Again, we're talking like that happens every day, all the time.
It happens. It happens.
And Trump wouldn't stop that.
Biden only raped your family once, so it's not an everyday thing. Don't worry, just the one time. Just the one time.
Hold on. Biden didn't do it. You keep on doing this thing where you're connecting Biden to do this. Biden isn't doing any of this.
Prime, I love that.
Biden isn't doing any of this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Biden, with full knowledge of it, is paying for the diddler to come to your family's house, right? Sorry, he does have a little distance to it. I'm sorry, we want to make this accurate, okay? Yeah, I said too much, right? He's just paying for the diddler. Oh, okay.
It's because there are other groups who are going in and murdering and massacring thousands of Jews, and he's giving money to protect that, right? To protect those Jews from dying, okay? And you're very mad at that for some reason, right? We can interrogate that if you'd like.
As a Jew, you cannot hide behind Jews for this take. Wait.
Yeah,
Israelis, people, human beings, okay? Now, look, Israel does some dog shit stuff that I do not support, but I will absolutely give money and support giving money to the Iron Dome because it's not protecting the people who are raping people. It's protecting children.
I mean, it is.
It's protecting folks who are walking down the street who have done nothing wrong.
So there was more than 10x, right? The amount of victims on the Palestinian side, on the other end, right? More than 10x, right?
Yes, because Hamas put them in front as human shields.
Well, the IDF put those people in danger, right? The IDF has been running the occupation, or the Israeli government in general, right? Has been running this occupation for decades, right? They did the ethnic cleansing beforehand with the Nakba. They've been doing all this, and so I guess they're all acceptable targets, correct?
Hold on, right? Of course not.
Just out. Oh no, not right on. They're just on the other side of that wall, right? Those were communities just on the other side of the wall of
you know what? Hamas could have built bomb shelters for them to hunker down in, right?
Yes,
they could have worn uniforms to actually fight the IDF, but they didn't do any of that.
I know.
What they did was they hid behind men, women, and children, innocent, and
I know you actually don't give a fuck about the Gaza.
Hold on, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know because you the entire time have been defending Israel like during this genocide. The entire time, that's exactly what you've been doing.
What I'm doing is I'm attacking Hamas,
people, right? And so
I'm saying that if I had to choose between Hamas and the IDF, I'd choose the IDF.
More than 10x the amount of civilians died, right? And now you're saying, well, it's their fault, right? So it's Hamas's
fault. Yes,
people died.
Those are on Hamas,
but it's not Israel's fault.
That's on Hamas, 100%.
That those other people died, even though there's an ongoing.
The IDF has some blame too.
There was an ongoing conflict.
The IDF has some blame too, but Hamas is the reason why all this is happening. Without Hamas, it would not have happened.
Not the people. Yeah, sure. Okay, great. Yeah, at that point, yeah, it was the reason why they had to starve them.
Hold on. Yeah, change it to. I'm about to read some super chats, but regardless, my whole point is that you have to have some principles. There has to be lines.
You have no principles. I think you're bullshitting right now.
Okay,
I think
you're wrong.
You're showing that. Like Soypill showed he had principles, right? Even though I disagree with those principles. Soypill showed he had principles, but you, right? When it happens to your family, that's when you draw the line. I guess it's too much, right? Others can get raped. That's fine with me, right? Others can be assaulted. Other babies can be starved, right? Other people can be bombed and set on fire, right? But it doesn't happen in my family, right? Or the person who did it didn't pay for it to happen in my family, whatever, right?
Biden didn't pay for it to happen, right? All he did was protected men, women, and children from getting raped by Hamas, by getting beheaded by Hamas, by having Hamas go in and ethnically cleanse and genocide them. That's what Biden did, right? And somehow you're very against Jews being protected from being killed by Hamas. And that's weird.
Hold on, wait a minute. Like, hold on. This entire 2 years, was Hamas
what I think you've done is, I think you swallowed a lot of propaganda.
Wasn't Hamas fighting within Israel's territory? Was that what they were doing? They were fighting within Israel's territory. And what Biden was stopping.
Why were they fighting in Gaza? Could it be that they took 200 people hostages in Gaza and hid them in Gaza?
had already been ended by like October 9th, right? When all the fighters have been pushed back into Gaza, right? So that had already happened. So don't bullshit us.
They
saying,
had
Biden
hundreds of hostages well beyond October 9th.
Yeah, they had the hostages.
Yes,
of course.
and they had it where? What territory did they have those hostages in?
Yeah, they were having it in Gaza.
Gaza. So the IDF had to go into Gaza to get them.
So we had to slaughter. And so and it's acceptable sacrifice, right? To starve babies for those hostages, correct? Right? It's an acceptable.
Do you think they should have just let those hostages die?
No, you can negotiate, which Hamas was always willing to do. Right? That's why they had the hostages in the first
Hamas
place.
was not always willing to negotiate. That's insane.
They literally were at the negotiating table during the Biden administration. You're bullshitting us, right?
That's not true.
I see you. Yes, they were.
Hold on. Who rejected the ceasefire agreements? It was Hamas every fucking time. We can go through each one.
Moving the line. Israel multiple times. This under the Biden administration, I can provide you sources, and you've been providing these sources before, right? So, like again, you're pretending ignorance on this, right? But like there are articles, right? Like from people within the Biden administration talking about during the time, right? Like during that administration, they were put deals down, right? And Hamas would agree, and then
Hamas
Netanyahu
did not agree to those deals. That's just not true.
They literally.
That is not
true. Once again, I see what you got to do. I see what you desperately have to do, right? To make any of this make sense, right? You got to pretend Hamas is some intractable evil, right? And to destroy that evil.
Hamas is intractably evil. Yes, I will die on that hill.
And so it doesn't matter how many people die, right? Hey,
no, it does. If you think I support everything that Israel is doing, you are incorrect.
If everything remained the same, and 1 million Gazans died. Right? Like half the population was wiped out. You'd say it'd be worth it, right? For what happened October 8th, right? It's 5 years down the line, we've killed 1 million of them, right? And still for those hostages, you say, yeah, that's an acceptable loss.
Of course not. There is a line, but we haven't crossed it.
So
how many people do you think have died in the Gaza conflict?
So how many? So is it 10x? Is it 20x? Is it 30x? How many until the death is just too much, right? How many starving babies is too much for Wick?
I'm just looking at how many have died in Gaza since October 7th. Because you keep saying numbers, but there are actually numbers that we have, right? That we can actually look at. It's not millions. It's not 1 million. It's not 10 million. Obviously, there's a threshold. Obviously, there is a threshold. Obviously, there is a threshold. Obviously, I'm going to keep repeating it. Obviously, there is a threshold, which would not be okay anymore. But that threshold has not been passed.
Great. So I'm asking you, right?
It's because of the disproportionate amount of deaths in Gaza versus the October 7th. That's all you're saying, Luke.
Yeah. You agree that there were more people have died in the ensuing conflict than died on October 7th, like
of course.
Israelis, correct?
Of course.
Okay, right. So I'm asking you, right? At what point does it become too disproportionate for the response?
Sure. I don't know where the neck begins and the head ends, right? I can't give you an exact, specific percentage, a holy, sacred number, right? But obviously it's more than what has happened.
Obviously now, yeah, I know. And people were saying, because I've been following this conversation.
Man.
If it was 10,000 deaths, well, okay, that'd be too much, right? If it was 20,000, well, sure.
What if it was only one? Would you still have a problem with it?
But at some point, one person.
Yeah, 1,201 died on their side, and only 1,200 died on the Israeli side. Would that still be a problem? Would you stop? Like, you understand that more Germans were killed than Americans, correct? Do you think that the Germans were the good guys? You don't understand that more Japanese were killed than Americans, correct? Do you think the Japanese were the good guys?
I think it's a war crime. No, I thought it was a war crime to kill, like to drop the bombs on Japan. I think it was a war crime. The bombing of Dresden.
It was
right. Like
bombing of Dresden, maybe, but the atomic bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima were not a war crime.
They were absolutely. No, I've already gone through this, and we can have a debate on this. I did this on Destiny. I think you were there, but maybe you weren't. I don't know. Way back when, right? I had a discussion about like how it was actually like the Japanese were looking to surrender. The war was already over. They couldn't prosecute.
No, even after the two bombs, they were trying. There was a coup attempt because the Japanese did not want to surrender. There were people within the Japanese government that did not want to surrender, and and this was
say they were
even
all- I didn't
after
say they were all on the
Nagasaki
same
and
page.
Hiroshima.
I have a question.
A
for
coup
Rick.
attempt applies that they were trying to uproot the current political direction. Correct? Right? Yeah. Any which way. There's plenty of evidence to say that they shouldn't. That there was no need to drop those bombs, right? Especially on civilian populations. Actually, yeah, I'd say that.
Look, I'm curious. When you said I have plans for if this debate circles the drain, is this what you're talking about?
No, this wasn't what I was talking about either. But let me read some super chats because people have been paying money, and I want to give them satisfaction. Okay, $5 for Alexander from Alexander Rin to say, sounds to me like Soypill just justified the election of Donald Trump by the people who thought that the left was doing everything he is doing. Thank you for $5. $5 from
If you're
Zonia.
stupid and don't understand reality, and you think that the election was stolen because Donald Trump lied to you, then you would have been justified in voting for him. But the problem is that he's lying and it's not true. So that's the big issue: is that everyone on the right is fucking retarded.
Okay, $5 from Zonia. If the feds raid these guys live on stream, I'm not going to do a spit take. Thank you for $5. $5 from Ash Baclareth. What is the point of having morals if you let the world burn? Also, must say, Soy's hate is looking spiffy as always. It's
Hat.
I'm assuming he meant hat, but he said hate.
She meant hat. She's from
oh,
my
she-
chat. I don't know why she's not donating in mine.
You should donate in both chats and donate more. Solemn Arcus, member for 22 months, 1 month closer. Do you have a goal? Thank you for the 22-month membership. $5 from Malik to say, Soy Jack, would you vote for Pol Pot over Donald Trump? Or Vladimir
No.
Putin over Trump?
No, I think Pol Pot and Vladimir Putin are worse than Trump.
Okay,
Which is not a very high bar.
sure. 100 ARS, whatever that is, from Real Serious, to say, Prime probably thinks that if one U.S. soldier commits a war crime, then the president has to commit seppuku live on national TV to disavow it.
100%. That's exactly what has to happen. No, you got me. You got me.
$20 from AKA Batozai. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. $5 from Metalworks 41190 to say, what if I don't fully agree with your premise on Israel and its history and think you're promoting propaganda? Which one? Who are you talking to, Metalworks? Alexander Rin for $5. Soypill. So the ends justify the means? As long as you believe something to be true and believe you couldn't be wrong, you're justified in anything?
You're justified in your own frame of reference in the same way racists are justified because they think, non-whites are inferior, but that doesn't mean it's okay. And that's why we have collective idea sharing, and we can talk about what is right and wrong and show why there are things that are just objectively untrue. But yeah, people will always justify their beliefs. No one, very few people are operating and doing things because they believe they're the opposite of what they should do. But yeah, if you're a dipshit Trump supporter who believes all of the lies that he says, yeah, it makes sense to go do a January 6th. But unfortunately, that stuff isn't fucking based in reality.
Okay, $5 from Malik to say, I came here to make fun of Soy Jack, but Prime is just too retarded to ignore. Thank you for the
I don't know. You kind of won me over in that little rant at the end.
Okay, well, you're both wrong, and now I have a clip of saying that you'd let Biden rape your whole family and still vote for him. So.
You could have had that before. I've said it before.
Maybe I
have a clip of you saying you don't care about the consequences of a Trump presidency as long as it affects you personally to vote for Biden. All right.
I don't think you had that clip, actually. I don't think I said that. But
no, that was your argument.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you're saying as long as Biden slights me personally, I don't
now
care
you're
what the
doing it on
consequences
purpose.
of Trump are.
Okay, $5 from Travak to say, please ask Primecayes if he believes Hamas has done anything at all that he does not support. I'll even be nice and say he doesn't have to be specific. That's a question for you.
Do you condemn Hamas?
Support October 7th. Support October 7th. Right? I don't support the butchering of those civilians.
Okay.
Of course not. In terms of the military targets that died, right? That's fine, right? Support of that. I think they should, as a revolutionary movement fighting imperialism, fighting an occupation, they should be able to take out military targets, being soldiers and the whatnot, right? But in terms of attacking the civilians, no, I don't support that.
$5 from Alexander Rin to ask Soypill. At Soypill, wait, so you believe in objective truth? Where exactly are you getting that objectivity from?
is if it's gonna do some fucking stupid like epistemic argument, like I believe in like
As long as
cars
he keeps
working
paying
because
me,
we
he
look
can
at
keep
the
making the argument he wants.
science behind cars. It's like, whoa, how could it be
You need
objective? Because
a
what even is
God
real? It's
to
like shut the
have
fuck up.
truth. You need a God to have truth. It's that simple.
Yeah, shut. Take it outside, God boy.
Okay, $5 from Old School to say this debate is giving me a headache and is pointless. Sorry, Wick. I'm going to go play Outer Worlds. W. Okay, good luck.
Who really had the W if he paid you to say that?
Okay, good luck. Okay. We have gone off the rails, and we have kind of reached the end of the 2 hours. You know,
I
we
think
filled the
that there
time.
was only so much we could discuss on that.
Yes,
Like,
and that's
we,
fine.
yeah,
That's fine. It was a
yeah.
good discussion for what it was worth. I want to give
Plan-
each. Oh,
What?
yeah.
No, you go ahead.
I want to give each of these people closing statements, closing thoughts, where they can tell you where they can find, where you can find them. I have links to their YouTube channels in my YouTube description. You can click on those links. You can give them a sub, and help them out because they gave us content tonight. We're gonna give them follows and things like that. If you enjoyed this show, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Okay. If you're watching this on Twitch, feel free to throw some bits, subs, all that. If you are watching this on YouTube, super chats, memberships, all that is really good too. What do we got coming up? Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having a debate on military intervention in Venezuela. Trump has been threatening it. There's been a carrier group that it's currently on its way to Venezuela, so it looks like there might be something in the works. Is this justified? What form of intervention would be justified in taking out Maduro, who is kind of a dictator? We're going to talk about it. It's going to be a great discussion. And then on Halloween, we're probably going to have open call-ins, and it should be fun. So bring your costumes. I'm going to be dressing up as a MAGA guy. So it should be,
the scariest thing you can imagine.
Yes, exactly. But,
unless Joe Biden raped your family.
Yeah, actually. But let's give the mic first to Primecayes, and then have Soypill have the last word. Primecayes, go ahead. Closing thoughts.
Paying to rape other families is less scary than MAGA. But anyway, thank you all. I appreciate good friend Mike for being so kind as to invite me, even though he knows what's going to happen. Right, like this, I would defy you to find an appearance of mine here where I didn't attack Wick. And if I did, then I apologize. Right, if there was one time when I didn't do it, I do apologize. But still, shout out to my friend Wick. Always appreciate him trying to include me. And I feel like we have like good conversations. Shout out to Soypill, who I'm only just getting to know. We haven't had that many discussions. It was nice to have a one-on-one conversation. I thought he was a fantastic interlocutor. So like if you haven't interacted with his content, please go ahead and do that. Seems pretty dope. But if you liked me, right? Or if you thought I was retarded like that one guy, right? But you're the type of person who gives super chat like that one guy, well then head over to my channel. YouTube.com and twitch.tv/Primecayes, PRIMECAYES. We love to have you. We have debates as well, right? Get super vitriolic. I embrace the chaos more than our friend Wick does here. And so if you like that sounds intriguing to you, then head on over. We definitely love to have you there. Yeah, thank you so much.
Go check him out, gang. If you like me or you hate me, blame Prime, because he's how I got my start in this space. I used to go on his open panels back when I could stay up a little later than I can now. It was good times, good memes. Glad to have you, man. And next up, Soypill.
Yeah, unlike Wick, I'm vote blue no matter who. And right now it's not no matter who. Right now it's the primary. I'm seeing Graham Platner make mistakes that I don't want in a candidate. And that's, ultimately maybe not going to matter. Like Prime said, maybe he'll bounce back. And if it does, then I will support him as a Senate candidate in Maine. Right now, it does look like Mills is the better option. And I think at least I'm happy because I enjoyed this conversation, Prime, and people should go follow him. I think we both agree it would be cool, and maybe this is idealistic, if Platner just stepped down and gave someone else 8 months to be the progressive, because I don't think he should be it. But If he wins, he wins. So we'll see what happens. I'm not very happy. To use Prime's analogy, my bottle of does this overflow? It's reached, and it's not for Prime, and I understand that. I don't think he's wrong to have that opinion. It's just a difference of values, so that's fine. But we could both agree that Wick should let Joe Biden into his house. Thanks for watching. I'll be streaming again. Yeah, be consistent, Wick. I'll be streaming again in 2 hours. But otherwise, yeah, everyone go follow Wick too, because he doesn't get enough love on these things, except for all the super chats that I don't get. So
I get the love. May not be the love I want, but it's the love I need. Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure to both of you. I'm going to say bye-bye to you and let you go now. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, gang. What do we think? Thoughts? Opinions? So $5, Metalworks wants this read on stream. He says, no offense to your guest, Wick, but I want nothing to do with Soy or Prime and want these illiberal people disassociated from the party, honestly. For different reasons, yes. I gotta be honest. Like, the Soypill comment surprised me. I knew Prime. I knew Prime's whole shtick. Okay, I've known Prime for a long time. So that didn't surprise me. Soy's comment did. That's what we have to have standards. Okay, there has to be lines that even if our side commits bad, that we hold them to account for that. And if that means don't vote for them, that's what it means. Now, obviously, I don't want I don't expect perfection, okay, from politicians. Obviously, no politician on earth is someone that I'm going to completely 100% agree with. But when you get into these extreme like hypotheticals where someone's going around raping people, okay, I don't care if they're a Democrat. I don't care if they're a Republican. I'm not voting for them. Even if the other guy is worse or whatever in some weird way. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's just crazy shit, gang. I don't know. Did you guys enjoy the show, at least? I know we went a lot of different places. Wick, how many political parties would you prefer to have? More than... Look, I don't think it's the number that matters. I just want one that represents me, okay? And I want one that has candidates that I feel represent my views. Now, for the most part, the Democratic Party has candidates that represent my views, okay? Platner, Mamdani, especially Mamdani, does not. Platner, I like some of his views, but I just don't like his judgment. I think I cannot excuse and I cannot get over having a Nazi tattoo for years. Like, again, it would be a different story and a completely different story, okay? If he'd gotten it when he was 20, in his 20s, he found out a year later that it was a Nazi tattoo, and he was like, oh shit, and he got removed. Cool, okay, fair. That's okay. I mean, not ideal, but I get it. Makes sense. Tracking. What I don't track is how anyone would know that they had a Nazi tattoo on them. Enough to call that my little Totenkopf or whatever, right? And keep it on their body for years. It would make, if I had found out that for whatever reason I'd accidentally gotten a Nazi tattoo, my skin would crawl until it was removed, right? I would feel so uncomfortable. I wouldn't be able to focus. It would be something that I would want off immediately. And it is a red flag, I guess, if you want to use that term, that he did not. And combine that with all his other statements, all his other gaffes, if you will. Look, I get it that we can't hold everyone to a standard of perfection, but we should hold our representatives to a higher standard than we currently do. We absolutely should. I think that we are excusing too much because the other side is bad or worse or whatever, and we need to set some very strict, strong ground rules on these things. Echo says, didn't he get it removed right away? No, he had it on for like 20 years, 18 years, something. He didn't get, he only got it removed like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. That's very quick in elf years. What are we excusing besides the tattoo? Well, he made comments about how women who got raped deserved it. That was 12 years ago, though, and it was a one-off Reddit comment. I'm not as concerned about that, honestly, because, again, it was just something he said. Could have been to be edgy or whatever, and 12 years is a long time. Fair, right? And I haven't seen that being a pattern. But a tattoo is just different, okay? Echo says he said he found that out last week. His campaign manager who quit said he knew what it was for years. I think he's lying, yes. We've had reporting where other acquaintances of Platner has said he's known for years, that he used to call it his little Totenkopf. Like, so yes, I think that he is lying. That's where the evidence suggests. Yes, I think he found out years ago that it was a Nazi tattoo. I couldn't give you like the exact date. Look, and Janet Mills is fine. There's nothing wrong with Janet Mills. She's a good candidate. She's outperforming Collins, I believe, at the moment. She's the best candidate. Why not choose her? They're just mad because she's old. And I don't give a shit that she's old. Yeah, I don't know why they're censoring liberal Metalworks. It's not a setting I have. Can I type it? I wonder. Can you guys see that word? Technically, the word you sent me was illiberable. I don't know how that's how you spell it. But yeah, I don't know why you can't spell liberal. Or why it's censoring you. I have no idea. Malik, yeah, I've met 80-year-olds. I just don't think, again, it's not your age, it's your competency level that I care about. And she seems with it. Like this idea that people have that all 80 years olds are just dementia-filled, crazy people is just wrong. I've known plenty of people older than that who have been cognizant and capable and better than many a young people. Like this ageism that we have going on is really weird. I'm not 80 years old. I'm 42. Okay. I'm 42. I'm not 80. I'm 80 in Twitch years, maybe. Yeah, liberals going through Metalworks. I don't know why they censored that. Maybe it was a setting on your end. Okay. Is there anything else? Anything else anyone has for me before I let you guys go? No. Yes, maybe. Okay. Thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, some good memes. I don't know why can't anyone just be normal anymore, okay? Why can't anyone be normal? Just be normal. Ah! Anyway, that's a little channeling Basket for you, but okay. I'm going to leave. Bye.